Welcome, everybody, to the Making Awesome podcast. This is episode 230, where going to be talking all about this new BAMBU leak. So, for those that don't know, those that haven't been following, a unnamed BAMBU printer, whether we want to call it, I wouldn't even call it the H1 because H stands for hybrid, but a P2, X2, whatever, it certainly appears to be more of the BAMBU that we as the community wanted and less of the BAMBU that we got.
I think this leak and what it's showing is what everybody was asking for before the H2D got announced. This was what everyone wanted. So yeah, it's really interesting. Also, there's only one photo leak. It's probably the lowest level of leak we've ever seen from a BAMBU, leak in the first place. Normally, it's always got a couple of follow-ups. This is just one photo with one date code, which is quite recent, and that is it. There is no more talk about it.
Yeah, so we're going to get into the fact of whether or not this is an actual leak or if this is like an Apple leak, which is it's marketing, but it's a leak, right? And oh, we leaked it. No, you deliberately left a cell phone out in the open in places to get photos of. Is this good marketing or is this legitimately a leak? If you are just joining us for the first time, my name's Grant. We have Jacob here from Construct 3D. I own 3D Musketeers. We are here to talk about things that happen in the industry. And if that's your kind of thing, leave a like, get subscribed. If you're listening audio only, rate all the 5 stars and that kind of stuff. We do have a birthday in the house right now. We got Max H, who is exactly double my age, which is kind of interesting, especially considering that I'm 35, but it's a lot funnier because he is the nice of age. He is 69. Nice. So super awesome for that, Max. Happy birthday there. And theoretically, because I want to make this mom like a cool mom, theoretically, there's a new viewer by the name of Travis hanging out watching us. So if you're there, spoke to your mother for 30 minutes yesterday. That sounds really, really weird.
That sounds really
weird.
Awkward.
I promise it's not weird. No. They wanted to get some classes and come take a tour and stuff like that, and gave them tons of different advice on machinery and stuff like that. So, it's how it goes. And as you guys know, these streams do come to you completely ad-free on YouTube when you're watching them live. And if you do want to contribute to that kind of thing, you could do so. We just started the goal as well. We always do try to hit a certain goal by the end of the stream. But yeah, let's jump into it. We'll hit the billing department in a little bit. Just wanted to remind people of the ad-free streams because it's a bigger deal than most people realize. Because realistically, we average 150 to 250 people during a stream.
Well, that's a good amount of ad revenue if you had ads.
Yeah, it's 40 or something.
Plus, it's a captive audience. They're not going to go. They're going to watch it on repeat just for us.
Chris Catlett says, come join the heckle party in the Discord at the $10 tier or higher. Steve Builds, member for 25 months, says, howdy. How you doing, good sir? Andrew Rogers with the $10 says, for the Yes It's Weird fund. And Jason Renaud, I'm going to probably butcher that last name, for the $1.99. Thank you all very much for your contributions to the show. But yeah, so Jacob, can we toss the photo up and let's kind of discuss what we can get out of it real quick. So we can see 340 millimeter in the Z, and that's a big deal. That would make it the biggest BAMBU in the Z axis, period.
Absolutely.
Well, to date, I guess we should say. Single nozzle looks like the A1 style, which is good. We like that, right?
Yep.
And so it also appears that BAMBU is moving over to the kind of A series style of nozzles, which I like. Their whole replacement system for it is nothing short of genius. Um, yeah, super cool system. It uses a rail turned on the side, very similar to the H2D, but we're missing some stuff, right? You noticed
We're
something right
missing
before we
quite a
started.
few things.
Yeah.
So, oh wait, I'm screwing it up. Not that. Oh, I tried to do a neat and I've ruined it. Uh, there we go. Now you get little Jacob.
You get little Jacob.
Hey,
It's little
you get little Jacob.
Jacob.
Oh, I can make little Jacob a little bit bigger.
You can.
There we go. That's a sentence. Make little Jacob a little bit bigger.
Is that what you tell your lady friends? Is that what you tell them?
But no, what I noticed was in the top left of the printer, where you would normally have a window behind like the cooling duct,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing. There's no sign of a that like slightly darkened acrylic or like polycarbonate or whatever that material is. It's just white,
Right.
which implies two things. It's either no window or no panel.
But
And I'm
does
not
it
sure which is
like?
which.
But does it need it? Right. So
I think so.
I
I
don't
really
know.
think so.
Nah, honestly, like, look, I'm all for machines having more ability for light to enter them, but like, at the same time, I also don't care. Right?
Mm,
I would much rather have a lower manufacturing cost than have another window. It makes sense on the H2D because of its necessity to be able to see all the sides for the laser. But like, eh. Like, I have an X1 Carbon. It only has a window on the front, and it's very smoky, right? It's smoked glass, like it's
mm.
tinted glass. I don't think that anything beyond that is necessary. And quite frankly, unless it's the right thickness of glass, it's going to create more issues than it solves because it's going to just radiate heat out, right?
Yep. Like one of the, well, I don't care if there's no window. I care if there is a side panel because bigger prints will still warp. And while the front, everyone's just going to look through the front anyway. Like you
Right.
don't need to look from the side.
No.
While it is nice, I'm assuming they're still keeping the clear lid so you can look from top down.
It appears to be
Because
some
I'm not
reflection
seeing
in the
any
lid,
reason they wouldn't
so.
have that.
Well,
Like not having a lid would be a weird decision, and making a different lid when they've already got production, that also wouldn't make sense. Now, for the side panels, it can make sense because what they're probably doing is they're probably molding the full panel and then cutting the side out instead of doing two processes in one. So they're saving a process.
right.
I hope, though, it's not the wall. Because if that's the wall, I would be a bit disappointed in big format printer, no side panels. Because as you've actually experienced, I don't really think you might remember this, but do you remember back at Smurf where you saw the Construct 2, where it was printing that big vase?
Mm-hmm.
And then you saw there was just like these weird, like almost like layer shifts
Yeah, it was warping.
in the it that was literally when somebody would open the door
Yeah, yeah.
and this was in PLA and it would shrink by a noticeable like zero point 0.4 of a millimeter, like an entire layer width. It would shrink in, and then the moment the door closes, it would shrink out. And it was mad to see that. But even in PLA, the enclosure really is important for dimensional stability.
It is.
So I
It's
really
incredibly
hope that is a side panel. I really hope that is not the wall, because that would be a bit of a almost a bit of a gut punch for a machine as well built as this.
No, I would feel as though there's going to be a wall here. To me, this is the next X series or the next P series. It would make sense for this to be closer to the next X series, right?
Mm.
So the successor to the X1 Carbon, to make this like the X2 or the P2. So Anna, who's in our Discord, went through and checked BAMBU, the BAMBU software, whatever the hell they're calling it now, their third-party software, to see what machines it's supporting. And there are machines that are named in there that we haven't seen yet from BAMBU, so they're just kind of future machines. So it is possible that we're seeing one of those machines. Is it likely? I don't know. We did see Dale Blackburn with the €2. Thank you very much. £2. Jesus. Oh, I'm so terrible for that. Said finally catching the beginning of a stream. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see. Who said it? I missed it. Oh, well. I missed it. Oh, well. Someone had put something in there about the leak, but I must have missed it. And someone has just noticed in your background that you are running over 6 monitors.
It,
Yeah, Jacob
there's
has
a
Jacob has a computer set up. Yeah.
I have the battle station, and thankfully I can say it wasn't made for gaming. It was entirely production, so I get to get away with it and not have my little dungeon cave with 6 monitors.
And to be
So
clear, a
that
couple
was
of those
cool.
monitors are currently just white or different colors for key
Oh, yeah.
lights. Like he we do
Yeah,
that for the show.
like this one and this one. So you're gonna have to look in the reflection for that. But that
Yep.
one and that one,
Yep.
they're just white. They're my key light because I took my actual key light away back to the factory. So monitors it is. I don't need that many monitors for a podcast.
I guess I should just put more monitors here, but a 1080 Ti is,
Hey, you can do 6 monitors on a 1080.
I can. It's just gonna really hate me for it.
So you will always get up to 4 because Nvidia locks it at 4.
Mhm.
But you can do display compression where you fake a 4K monitor and then you split both of the 4K parts into 2 separate monitors.
I just don't have the room. There's a shelf above me that is, well, it's at eye level for me when I'm standing, where the editing PC is. So I don't currently have the room to do that, even if I wanted.
You need to get one of those like micro monitors so you can just put the chat on one of them.
I've thought about it, and I have a portable monitor hanging around here. I'm like,
Just
oh, that would be a
saying.
great thing to do. That is a whole nother discussion for another day. But yeah, I look at this machine and say, you know what? This might be the Bamboo that I would be excited over, right? And
This is the machine I thought they would release before the H2D.
yeah, the machine that all of us wanted, which was basically just an X1 Carbon, but bigger.
But bigger. Like, this is the hype machine. What all the hype was built for before it was destroyed by the H2D.
Mhm.
This is what we were asking for, was the bambulab quality on a bigger enclosed machine so you can just print bigger. And then it's got all of the benefits of what we now know as the H2D, of the new material changer, the AMS2. I hate their naming scheme for that AMS. It's so confusing now.
Look, it could be the AMS like Plus or Pro. They do have the HT. Like they could go the Apple side of things. At least they're calling the second iteration of it the AMS2. Although if we want to be really specific, it's really the AMS3 with the AMS Lite being the AMS2, but I'm not going to go deep into this. It is nice that they're backwards compatible. I like that.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see, can you use your AMS1 on whatever new machine this is?
I think it would grandfather in the same decision factors as the H2D. So I do believe you would be able to, but we don't know until it finally hits the shelves.
Well, and I guess the thing that upsets me the most is, like, I really like the engineering that Bamboo puts into their machines, but I'm really not okay with the level of control that they require, right? So those of you on the A series and the P series that don't have them online, don't put them back online at this point. The software updates for them that lock them down to using only Bamboo Studio unless you use Bamboo Connect. If you want them to still utilize the cloud features, that has rolled out. So Bamboo has locked down all of their machines. As Luke's Laboratory says, you will own nothing and be happy about it. Luke, that sounds like what the company that had your lathe was saying. That is such a low blow, but I'm going to take it because I have the opportunity to take that blow.
You need to stop bullying him. He knows he's going to be giving you a nozzle, and all of a sudden your nozzle is going to be the scuffiest one out of the entire production.
I hope that it is. He said it's okay. It's in our shop. Yeah, Luke finally got his Swiss lathe in, and it's nice. It's actually a really big machine. Very curious to see what kind of RAs he can pull off of it when he goes into manufacturing. So
That's going to be lovely.
will he be able to hit the 0.056 microns of Bondtech? I don't know, but we're gonna find out. um, Max H is not yours anymore; it's ours. And like that's something that historically on this channel has always, always upset me. Right? Literally the first, we'll say, viral style video that we ever made was me yelling at Cricket for doing this exact thing, where they took a ownership of a machine and they converted it to a lease. And lo and behold, I don't like that. That upsets the hell out of me. And I feel like Bamboo is going down this path too. I'm concerned that this new machine, well, I mean, it should be, right? Like on par with what they're doing. It should be fully under their control.
Yes.
And like, it's
I can't
troublesome.
even blame them for going down that route, because that is the inevitability of consumer grade hardware.
Yeah.
Is you lock it down, you close it down.
I don't have
And
to
I do
like it
think
to understand it.
Yeah,
Right?
like our gut feeling is always going to be what we knew best, which is the open source mentality, what built this entire industry, those sort of
It's going
things. Like
away.
it is entirely disappearing, and that is not it's not something that we like, because it's not what we were used to. We were used to the community of people getting a disastrously bad machine, and then that disastrously bad machine gets modded into oblivion, but that's why it was fun. Now we're getting into the consumer realm where, like an Epson printer, you can't mod an Epson printer. You just buy one, you use it, and you throw it in the bin when you're done with it.
You're lucky if
That
you can
is
put
the consumer
third-party
side.
ink, right?
Oh yeah.
Like Epson was the king of using third-party ink because you could get the Eco Tank and put third-party ink into it. But they've even recently started to lock that down, which has created this whole atmosphere of people that are like, wait a minute, you were the good guys. Like what happened here? And like Bamboo, as much as I hate what they've done, I think they've actually done pretty much a perfect job of it.
Yes.
Right?
They've done that transition from maker to consumer very smoothly.
Well, and they've convinced the community that they need this, right? Which Epson has done a very poor job of. Epson has not provided any value. But I think that the difference is that there was no third-party options for some of the Bamboo. Obviously, with the X1, you can put X1 Plus on it. I don't know where development is on X1 Plus at the moment. I'm not even certain if it's still being actively upkept. I'm running like 1.7.3 of X1 Plus, and my Bamboo runs just fine. Like I am not worried about this whatsoever. My machine runs. I don't have to worry about it. I just look at what they've done and I'm like, yep, they did exactly the same thing that DJI did to the quadcopter drone industry, whatever you want to call it, where they went from we are here because we're building upon what open source did, and we're never going to do those things, and then they quietly do the things, and then they erase the history of them ever saying that they wouldn't do those things, and lo and behold, here we are, right?
Yep.
And if this continues down the same path, we're going to get applications, and it's the application side that's the issue. Any of you that own DJI cameras, and before you're like, oh, he's just talking shit, like they're did I just drop I dropped a memory card somewhere?
I think you just dropped something.
There are 2 Gen 1 Osmo Pockets sitting in this case, and this is one of our travel cases that we take with us. Did it fall out? Oh no, it didn't. It slid down. Okay, I think we're all right. It's a full-size memory card, so it's really not all that useful.
It'll be fine.
But the DJI app is banned on Apple Store, the Apple Play Store, Google Play Store, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't. It might not be banned on Apple anymore. It's still banned on Google, and it's banned for its data issues. So
Yeah.
if I want to use, and I'll even go further. So for those that don't know, this is my real cell phone. This is the like B-roll cell phone, burner phone, bought with cash level phone. It is an identical copy of my phone. It is a Samsung Galaxy S20 FE. It is the last Samsung phone to have expandable storage, which is why I use it. To get the DJI app, to be able to control the cameras remotely, you have to either sideload it from DJI's website, or I have to get it from the Samsung App Store, which doesn't care about data privacy. I'm concerned that we're moving toward this path, and a kind of a thing that went out this week that we saw out of the 2A community, the 3D print pew pew community, is that they have confirmed
There's a new warning out, isn't there?
there is a new warning out. Yeah, that your username, and it is the numerical characters of your username. So like not the, 3D Musketeers, it would be user 11678825, right? That is attached to the 3MF files and publicly visible inside of the 3MF files. The UUID. Thank you, Luke says. That is, for the average person, not that big of a deal. I think it's an overstep on privacy and all of that. Like, I do. But it is
I can devil's advocate both. It's a really good tool for tracking.
Oh, it's a phenomenal
the originator
tool
of a file.
Right. That's where it's really useful. But it's also like, let's say you're sharing 2A related stuff that can and easily is considered ITAR violations. Well, you can't say it wasn't me anymore. It's attached to your profile. And so the 2A community, for those that don't know, when I say 2A, that's the Second Amendment of the US Constitution, which is the right to bear arms. Yeah. There are a lot of people that 3D print firearms. We're not going to get into the, usefulness of all of that. We've already...
As cool as it is, most of the world doesn't like that.
Well, and we've already had Sean
And I
Arnada.
think it's against the terms and conditions of the BAMBU user agreement, is you're not supposed to be printing banned or restricted items on their machines.
Well, BAMBU doesn't want ITAR violations either, so,
Because at the end of the day, the way the law works is it's actually BAMBU's fault. It's not the user's fault. BAMBU has to police themselves. Yeah. It's the same reason why YouTube immediately copyright strikes the moment somebody puts the request in. Is because legally they have to protect themselves before they can work out, is it actually a violation or not? And it's the same thing. So if you are doing 2A, there is this new circular saying, hey, be careful. You're basically, if you attach a 3MF to anything, like say Maker World or anything like that. Also, if you're doing Maker World, do it on a different account. Like, don't be too stupid and just have an actual, this account is me. But if you're uploading a 3MF to anywhere, it has your unique identifier, and that is traceable. And I do believe it's traceable also down to the machines you own.
That so one I'm not certain. I guess it would depend on how much data that you've provided. But
on the P1P I've got, it asked me to sign in with my local account.
Yeah, the X1 does too.
That would mean it's got the UUID. And if it's uploading via that, it would have all that metadata in it.
The X1 does too. I just tell it no. So this is also present in Orca Slicer. So whether you're using Bamboo Studio or Orca Slicer, it is present in them both. Like, to be clear, if you don't care about any of the other security issues with Bamboo, you are absolutely not going to care about this. This is the lowest level security problem, and like data issue that I have with Bamboo. It's
I wouldn't
so
even call
much.
it an issue.
Yeah, it's so little
This
of
is
an
just like
issue.
usability.
It's so little of an issue. This is the only mention we're going to give it. And if you
Mm.
look, it's not even in the show notes. It's not even
Yep.
in the description for this, but I wanted to mention it because it does kind of fall in line with what we're looking at. I agree that there is some pretty serious value there to determine like who actually made this file that you're uploading. So if your account on MakerWorld doesn't match the UUID of the 3MF file, who did it? Like who did it?
Mm.
There's actually some pretty serious value there. But
It's so little of an issue, I wouldn't even
right,
call it an issue. It's the same reason, like, if you take a photo with your phone, it's got the metadata of where it was taken at what time of day.
right.
It's the same level of just, it's capturing data into a file format designed to capture
Well,
data.
and it's the same level of you can strip it out.
Yes. Just don't use a 3MF or edit the 3MF because at the end of the day, a 3MF is just a zip file with a fancy word on it. That's
Yep.
all it is. You can unencrypt a 3MF by literally just changing it to .zip and then opening it. It's that easy.
Yeah, that's actually how the initial entrance point for X1 Plus occurred. It was because the X1 Carbon would unpack anything, literally anything, with a .3MF extension. And so that was the original attack vector for X1 Plus. That is how they obtained it. An attack vector that we are almost dead certain Bamboo knew about, but did nothing about because no one had found it out yet. Because when we talked about it incredibly vaguely, like we did not mention how the attack vector worked. We had discussed that there is an open attack vector for a 0-day for Bamboo. Within 48 hours, it was patched. We didn't even talk about what the attack vector was.
They knew immediately what it was.
They knew immediately what it was. And that always like rings a little bell to me of like, they knew about this. They must know about others. David Connor Shover with the $10 saying the tracking these days, ugh. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Chris Catlett said, nah, it's the old crappy build of BusyBox they were running the kernels from 2018. Could have been. Well, I mean, yes, we know that. But I believe Bamboo knew about this. And Duff says you need
like a lot of people do security via obfuscation, not actually making it secure. Like,
yeah,
how many of you have a side gate to your house you've actually not locked in multiple years just because nobody ever goes to the side gate of your house?
Ha! Even better, a tree fell on it, so now I don't have a side gate anymore.
You need to fix that.
I argue that it's not my tree to fix because it's not my tree. It's my neighbor's
free
tree.
Lumber. Free lumber.
Do you know how much free lumber there is right now?
No.
Like people that were selling firewood can't give it away right now because of all the trees that fell over during hurricanes Milton and Helene. Like, I've got enough firewood for the next 2 or 3 years. Like, I have so much firewood. We're in a burn ban right now, so I can't burn it. But the termites and carpenter ants will get to it before I can physically burn it fast enough.
So you're telling me you've missed the opportunity to start a charcoal making business with free firewood?
That is so much extra effort that I care not to get into. And both of us have discussed the fact that we have a problem of turning our hobbies into businesses. We don't do that.
It's so true.
We don't do that. Yeah. Luke's Lab also asked about 0.056 RA. It's an RA meter, so they're measuring like surface finish in the micron level, 0.056 microns on the nozzle. We can talk more about it in the Discord. On the after the show.
Really cool.
It is really
cool. Really nerdy. Great for the after show for the $10 tier or higher on the Discord.
Yep. Luke's Lab said maybe that's why they can't give away fire with the burn ban. No. So the county started sending around trucks with like pickup bucket things to pick up all the down trees. Like my neighbor across the road lost 9 I was at least 9 oak trees, to the point where they rented a skid steer to move all the
Oh,
down trees. Like, I'm just cutting the one that fell onto my property. I'm just cutting it up with my electric chainsaw as I can. But the guy that owns the land just north of me, bless his heart, I'm way more comfortable doing it myself than having him do it. So, Bob, if you're watching this, you're welcome to come onto the property and cut the tree up, but please be careful. Uh, please, I don't. It's at your own risk, damn it. Uh, Cannon Pearl says copyrights are only as strong as your bank account. He who has the most money wins. That's not the way it should be, but that's the way that it is.
yeah. Legal battles are ones you don't want to ever have. That's why most
No.
people end up settling out of court because it's more expensive actually fighting than it is just going, buy me off.
Well, and I would argue, similar for the 2A community, that this issue also exists for the fan art community. So let's use Nintendo, because they are notoriously litigious. They just released the Switch 2, which is the BAMBU 3D printer of game consoles, right? You own nothing. You're buying a license. That's what you're doing. You're buying a license to use it. And the community is upset about it. But Nintendo's also notoriously litigious about fan art, and this does provide some level of identification of who uploaded the file based on their username. So just be careful, you know.
But yeah, but no, rolling back around to the leak, I did see somebody Skypaper asking what's the leak. So just in case you've all come back in, it is this.
Yep.
It is basically a H2D with a single nozzle, akin to the A1 series. And I just want to touch on, I think Bamboo have really hit it out the park with being able to start their business already doing consumer machines. And when
Yeah.
I say consumer machines, I don't mean like Creality level consumer where they sell a machine to consumers. I mean the machine is designed for consumers and locked down in that walled garden. Whereas if we flip the script, let's say Creality tomorrow comes out with a Bamboo quality machine, like everything's polished, it's all locked down. It is what we've come to expect from bambulab, but it's a Creality machine. There'll be so much outrage that Creality have changed from what they used to be to what they are now. It would almost destroy the company. Whereas Bamboo have come along, akin to Apple, with their immediate, no, this is a walled garden, don't buy it if you don't want it. And because of that, nobody complains. Or at least not many people complain.
Yeah, like they
And I
have
think
their
that was a
own.
really smart decision.
Well, so like Creality has their own RFID standard, as does Anycubic. Elegoo has committed to using the open RFID standard, which is super cool. I'm very happy about that. And actually one of the main reasons I'm like kind of pushing to transition some of our machinery over to the Centauri Carbons,
Mm.
because they're committing to an open RFID standard. And as much as I'm kind of iffy on RFID in general for 3D printing, it would be very nice for me to be able to make my own RFID stuff and attach it to my own spools and have the machine recognize it. Now,
Mm.
there does leave a very particular problem of, if I screw up the RFID and I put a PETG RFID key on a PLA roll, but hey,
You can't ever fix user error from the
yeah,
users. It's part of the name.
you can't fix stupid, you know. um,
Oh,
but I like that ability, and you know what? Elegoo, even though they're late to the game with the Centauri Carbon, I think they've knocked it out of the park. They've got. I don't like that they're still doing updates to it, like they're on like Gen 3 or Gen 4 of the Centauri Carbon, but they
they
are listening, yeah, and they're listening to user feedback. They have an entire Reddit thread of all the updates that they're doing. Their most recent update post was 9 days ago, to give you an idea of like how
Ooh.
often it's being updated. And like that's super cool. Like I'm here for that. It is kind of a pain in the butt though, because you don't know when you order it what you're going to get. So we were going to be able to, we were going to buy them soon, but I think I'm actually going to hold off another month or two before we go ahead and buy them, uh, just to let a few more of those updates happen. Skypaper said, "Wait, how come no one is trying to make a Prusa XL clone?" I don't necessarily know that the industry really needs it. I think people are totally fine with the amount of waste that we
Yeah.
have with the single nozzle multicolor systems, even like a 16 color AMS, right? Or a 16 color box turtle, open source or otherwise. The community is okay with it. Now, when the index gets released, Jacob, put the index video up. When the index comes out to the general public, yes, it is a hotkey. We do actually have the index video still on a hotkey. You're welcome. When the index does come out, that might change some things. But yeah, the Prusa XL, it is much
Always on a
tougher
hotkey.
than most people think. It's much tougher to do that. Um, and yeah, so I do think that the index is a much improved Prusa XL. In theory, we will need to see in
Yes.
practice, does it hold up as well? And while the Prusa XL is not perfect, not by any stretch of the
The
imagination, it's not a
Prusa
perfect
XL
machine.
sits in this weird middle ground where you buy a Prusa XL not because it is a Prusa over a BAMBULab, because as the industry has already shown, if you just want multicolor parts being built, most people are going to go BAMBULab now, or
Yep,
one of the other multicolor things, which does include Prusa. So that market has been diluted. The
yep,
reason you buy a Prusa now for their multi-head system is either multiple materials in the same part, at which point you're industry. You're not really going to be printing cosplay in multi-material because there's no point. You just take an extra like hour to clean up the supports and you're done. And I've seen this in a couple of companies I've done some work for, and
yep,
they've got several Prusa XLs, and they're all industrial users. They're doing it for multiple nozzle sizes, multiple material inputs. They don't really care what the price of the machine is. They just need something that A isn't Chinese, because a lot of these companies have a requirement to be either local or European, like just not a Far Eastern company. And then the other side is they're just trying to make industrial stuff. At which point, a BAMBULab doesn't fit the bill because of the data security issues and the waste. And you can't use single nozzle because it's multi-material. So there's only
right.
one other option, which is the Prusa XL. And it's not as popular as people think. I've seen quite a lot, and even the decision for the people who buy the Prusa XLs, everyone has told me it was a hard decision because the availability of cheaper single nozzle makes it a
Yeah,
it's not a decision that's easily made.
the justification for it is harder. So to give you an idea, this
Yeah.
is a support material. I can't show you the real part because the real part is non-disclosured, but the support material does not give you any idea of what the actual part is. This is all PETG. The real part we normally print in PLA for the client, and yeah, normally, so there's floating elements here. There's a very small area that touches the build plate, and then there's a an element on the top that goes across. This on a single nozzle machine takes me like 15-20 minutes each part, and I'm often stabbing myself, getting cut from the support, whatever. These take 10 seconds, if that. It takes me longer to remove the parts from the build plate than it does for me to remove the support from the parts.
Mm.
And just making those parts alone has paid for my XL. So, yes, my XL, while I didn't need the 5 tool head, in for a penny, in for a pound, I went ahead and got the 5 tool head. That was not a machine that Prusa sponsored. I bought that machine I was a day one pre-order, so I waited over 2 years for that. And lost more business in that time for that machine than it was worth. But the XL, within, I think, a month or two, paid for itself many times over. And, it does a lot of single color large prints for us right now, or single material large prints. But the biggest value that we have for it is that dissimilar support material.
Mm.
It just changes the absolute game on
Mm.
all of this. And from a business standpoint, the material use, yeah, there's a waste associated with it. But dude, the time savings alone, like we're printing the minimum, the MOQ for that part is 5. So I will print no less than 5 for the client. They've ordered up to 50 at a time. Like you figure, let's call it 20 minutes a piece. It's a third of an hour. Okay, so I'm basically taking 2 hours to do 5 of them, right? And it now takes me less than a minute to do 5 of them. All of the sudden, you're looking at not only the money side of it, where it's just a nicer print, but it's also way less in time. And that time pays dividends in the future because it lets me go and do other things.
Mhm.
I just saw we have the electroplating god himself is in here, Hendrik,
Ooh,
who we need to have on a show at some point. Hendrik,
that'd be so much fun.
shoot me a DM at some point. We got to have you on the show so we can talk electroplating, you know, whenever you can on a random Sunday. But yeah.
But yeah, I also think like a lot of people don't seem to pick up on the H2D is exceptionally good at 2 materials, but then has all of the negatives of more than 2.
Yes.
The only real benefit is 2 materials are now much faster to print, and you can do dissimilar materials, but only ever up to 2. So if
Right.
you did want to do PLA and PETG, one nozzle is dedicated PLA, one nozzle is dedicated PETG,
Mhm.
and then you get your color choices based off of them. So the moment you want to say do a 3-color, let's call it all PLA, a 3-color PLA print, you're back to all the same negatives as a single nozzle. The only difference is one of those materials is slightly faster to switch to, which makes it a hard sell if you could just get a bigger framed H2D with one nozzle. And I know what I would pick. It's the size, because size, in my opinion, does matter. As much as she tells you it doesn't matter, it does matter. Having it a bit bigger, it you'll be surprised at how many times just that extra inch on the side really matters. And in
That's what
this
I'm told
case,
at
we know
least.
it's going to be bigger. So we know the height of this printer is about 20
I'm clipping
millimeters
that. You can't stop
taller.
me.
I'm just powering through it, which is also clippable. um, but no, we know the height of this machine is taller. Now,
340.
that could be,
Yeah.
yeah, it's 340. It could be because like the movement mechanism took up that extra 20 mil of height. I'm not entirely certain, but
Well, they only move one
20,
nozzle. The other one is
yeah,
stationary.
but that 20 mil extra is quite a lot of extra space
Yeah.
when you're considering it's in the Z. Like Z can be the biggest limit to a lot of prints, so having 20 mil extra is brilliant. I'm assuming because we had this issue with the H2D where you couldn't reach both sides of the print volume with both nozzles. You won't get that in this machine. The nozzle should be able to reach all the way across
Yeah, I
in
bet it
every
will.
dimension.
I bet it's going to have the same XY as the H2D for nothing else other than to not have a different bed, a different SKU in the
Yeah.
store. And this is the trick when you look at long-term manufacturing, is that the less SKUs that you have, the better. Now, the Vector 3D teardown of the H2D tells me, oh my god, they're going to need so many spare parts. Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
as the business owner, if I had H2Ds, homie, I'd be having so many spare parts. Because while there is a ton of engineering, if any one of those tiny little parts fail, you're in a bad spot. Like a bad spot. Because some of
That
it can be tough to
engineering
get.
is a work of art.
It is. It is an
The
absolute work
problem
of art.
is you aren't the artist. So if you have to come and then repair it, you now need to know how to paint to the same level as the artist who designed it. And that will be a challenge for most companies.
Yes.
So having an easier tool head to work on is quite important. And having those spares, like you never want to go and start doing a painting and you don't have the art supplies, especially on something this complicated. Because the moment you start taking bolts off and you put them somewhere and you have to put your tool down, you've forgotten half the steps because it's not straightforward. And that is why you should always have spares for equipment like this. But this new machine looks simpler because it is, from the looks of it, it's an A1 print head with some modifications.
Yeah, it's like you took an A1 and an H2D and said babies. It would be nice if this was going to be the successor to the X1. But at least from the photo, I don't see any LiDAR system on it. And I think a lot of people that own X1s are split on whether or not they like the LiDAR. I know users that say, I don't care. I'm just going to turn it off. I'll set the PA values and the extrusion values myself. It's not worth a bad reading that could ruin a print.
Hmm.
So I don't know if
Well,
Bamboo's moving away from that.
so
So,
I don't know what this bit is. So you'll probably remember because I'm not massively familiar. But if I'm going to use myself as a little point. Oh, I flipped myself. There we go. A little pointer. This bit here, like
yeah,
this bit, this bit right
I
here,
don't know what it is either.
is that a downwards facing camera?
It probably is. The H2D has a downward facing camera. The X1 Carbon has a couple, right? At least one
Mm,
downward facing camera. It would make sense. It's really, really good for spaghetti detection. And it's really good for
yeah.
blob detection. So downward facing cameras are very, very good for that kind of thing. I still, like, there's a part of me that's like, Bamboo, I really want you to give us access to these cameras, because how cool of a time lapse would it be if you could time lapse it from the downward facing camera? That'd be
That would be
so
so
much
neat.
cooler, right? Like, come on. Like when we got access to the log files in the X1 Carbon, just seeing the output from those cameras, I'm like, yeah, that
That
was
was really
cool.
neat to see.
It was cool.
That's hidden technology that makes you tingle because it's
Mhm.
cool. I
and
love seeing that sort of stuff.
and I love how we're currently having an argument in the in the chat about lidar. So it is technically lidar if we look at lidar for what it is. It's what, light, distance, and ranging, right? Isn't that what it stands
Yeah,
for?
but it's also not a time of flight sensor, which is what like true
No.
LiDAR is.
Well, kind of. A LiDAR will send out a laser pulse and then measure the amount of time that it takes to come back, right? What it was doing is that it's using a single line laser as an optical sensor, an optical distance sensor, uh,
Yeah.
from my understanding.
It was
And
literally drawing a line, and when it got to the filament, that line would be different, and then they could just hyper contrast it. So anything that isn't bright white, which is the laser line, becomes black. And then they can literally measure the line and they go, oh, it's there, and it's this high, and it's this long, and it's
yep,
this wide. It
yep,
was a very smart way. I would hesitate to call it LiDAR. It's closer to like a form of photogrammetry with using structured light because that's really what it's using. It's a single laser structured light
yeah. I mean, to some extent.
algorithm.
And to be clear, we actually apparently have a LiDAR developer in the chat right now, Mr. John
Oh, of
Stern,
course we do.
because of course we do. This is why I love
This
doing live
community is so
shows.
neat.
I love live shows because of things like this, that we have the opportunity to have like actual LiDAR developers in the chat. He said, yes, that's called a laser triangulation sensor. They work very well for high accuracy. You can buy them from companies like Keyance. They never call them LiDAR. We don't have Keyance money. And if you're asking who Keyance is, neither do you. They are Keyance, at least on the like 3D scanning and metrology side of things, they are very expensive. But Keyance, Hexagon, and a few others are they're the lesser known names in the 3D scanning industry, but they're known for being hyper specific about very, very detailed things, and they're very, very good at it. Um, Also, nice water bottle, Jacob.
I know, it's great. I wonder where I got this from.
Is it yours or is it your mom's?
It is mine.
Nice.
Look at
Yep.
that. There we go.
Yep. Yep. So it would be nice to have some sort of laser triangulation sensor or some other sensor. Um, I would like to see that kind of thing on the machine, but I think that's more for just user friendliness.
Hmm.
We have Zoe Nerdhouse, someone that I don't think I've seen in the chat before. So, grain of salt, what I'm about to read. They're saying it's the X2 Pro. It's 360 by 335 by 340. It has a nozzle camera and it is accessible. A chamber camera and solid aluminum side panels. They have seen it in person.
Ooh. Okay. Interesting. The X2 Pro. Obviously, let's take this with a grain of salt. We've not validated any of this.
Yeah.
But that is a big build volume on a very nice quality machine.
360 by 335. Is that the same build size as the H2D?
I think it's slightly big. I thought the H2D was small, like 320. I'm Googling it.
But I think it's the same build plate. Right?
Oh, no, it is bigger.
But is it the same build plate? What's the build plate size on the H2D?
I don't know. So it's saying
H2D is 325, volume, but an extra 5 millimeters on each side is really no big deal.
So the H2D's official specs, and this includes they can't reach both sides at the same time, is 350, 320, 325.
So getting it to
so this is 10 mil bigger in the X and 15 mil deeper in the Y, and obviously almost 20 mil taller in the Z. So it is a considerably larger volume. So I'm just gonna quickly do some mental math.
I think it's going to be the same build plate. I mean, it would not make sense to have a different build plate there. It really wouldn't. So it would not make sense at all. But yeah, I don't know if I guess you can't call it the carbon anymore because it's not using a carbon rail, which I'm glad BAMBU has realized that while that was an innovative thing, it doesn't make sense that the steel rails are just fine. And in terms of a longevity thing, they are much better. They
last so much longer.
And they're much easier for people to service, right? Servicing to me is part of the deal too. And as a company, they're realizing that they have to have something that's more user serviceable or they just get pissed off, right? Apparently, it has a 0.6 millimeter nozzle by default, which again,
thank you
for a machine that
that's
size.
My own personal thing.
Yeah, for a machine that size, I totally understand it. Hilariously, like my XL came with 0.6 millimeter by default. I've changed out 3 of the 5 heads for 0.4s.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the reasoning behind it?
I do find that we can get better quality on it, but the main reason is so we can do finer detail work that you can't normally do on a 0.6 with the 0.4s. So when we do, like the parts that I just showed you, those are done with the 0.4 heads. I have a part that I can't show on camera. I can show you, but I can't show it on camera. Can't show it to the public.
That's because I'm special.
It's a single color part, all done with a 0.6 head because it gets done faster. So I know that you can play the game of like under extruding out of a 0.6 and get roughly the same and yada, yada, yada.
It's not the same.
The Tom Sandladerer, thing. I have 5 tool heads. I can do this. It's fine.
I mean, your use case and my use case are very different because I'm used to printing big things with very minimal detail.
Well,
and yours is much higher detail requirements.
It's funny, even the really big parts that we print, like when we print big parts on the +4, I do them all in the 0.4 nozzle. We're heater limited more than we're, nozzle limited, so I really don't care. A 0.6 does not often flow that much better than a 0.4, so it's fine. Like, I don't care to fix it, So
I would like to think that this printer has a BAMBU style high flow, not patent breaking CHT, whatever we want to call it, insert. Because at 0.6, CHT makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
and
it does.
Vice versa. Because the main issue with my own personal issue with the the Prusa style point 0.6 at the start was it wasn't high flow. And
No, it's
if
not.
it's not high flow, you are instantly hitting the bottleneck, which is flow rate. Like a point 0.6 is almost double the flow rate of a point 0.4, just from volumetric size. It is quite a difference. So you need that extra flow rate to actually capitalize on that bigger nozzle.
When it focuses.
Ooh.
So on the bottom is that a 0.4? I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, they're both 0.4s, but the top is the Obsidian high flow. So you have, the larger nozzle area for the
Yeah,
CHT
for that
insert.
insert to push
Yeah.
into.
I do think that Prusa has a relatively small melt zone for what they're pushing, but these nozzles are the same effective length, right? So it just has less thread engagement versus the larger thread engagement. But yeah, I mean, that's how Prusa handles it. BAMBU does it a little bit differently, obviously, but it is easier to tell on the neck extruders because the insert ones are larger on the hexagonal side of things, which, yeah, makes it a lot easier to work with, in my opinion.
So I do stand by, if you're not going high flow, stick with a 0.4. You're not ever going to get a speed increase about going to a 0.6 without high flow, because you need that flow rate. If you don't have the flow rate, you're just slowing the machine down to do a slightly wider width, at which point you've got all the negatives of a slightly wider nozzle, the lack of detail, and all of that. But you're not speeding it up, which is the reason you wanted to go to a 0.6. Going to 0.6 high flow, you can keep the machine at top speed because it's high flow now. You are almost increasing your flow rate, like from what we've measured on a regular volcano, which it looks like the Prusa nozzles are roughly the same length as a volcano, like 25 mil roughly. That is, you've got calipers there, don't you?
Yep. Yep. I'm just gonna.
um,
You want me to measure the,
so
the,
yeah,
the area that's threaded?
From the start of where the heat can go up to the nozzle tip.
Oh, to the tip. Okay.
Yeah. So it should be 20 on the inside, 25 on the outside, roughly.
21. 21 for the
21.
brass. The brass section is 21.
Okay, so let's round that up to 22, just so there's a little bit of that heat zone. That is a volcano length, pretty much. Like, so you are going to be getting volcano speeds. A volcano speed at a 0.6 halves your movement speed. So if you were printing at 200,
Yeah, you get like
you're
20.
now printing at like 110.
You get like 20-ish out of it.
Yeah. 20 cubic millimeters per second is good, but it's not great.
Right.
If you go high flow on a volcano, you can easily push 30. And then on like PETG, you can push 35 to 40. Obviously, ABSs, you can get 40 to 45. And that is where you really want to sit if you're going to a 0.6. Because when you double the width of your nozzle, which is effectively what you're doing on a 0.4 to a 0.6, because it's volumetrically doubled, you want that flow rate. So seeing that this new, what are we going to call it? The X2? I think I like the name X2. So yeah, the X2 provisionally, if that is coming with a 0.6, I'd like to see with it the high flow from out of the box so it can really utilize that bigger print volume.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, if you're doubling the size of a part, you're increasing the amount of time it takes to print by 8, which is a lot of extra time.
But let's play devil's advocate here for a second, right? The H2D already has high flow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They are just A1 nozzles, but they're high flow. This is very clearly an A1 style hot end. It has to be, right?
Like, it has to be. It would be such a...
It would be stupid if it wasn't.
Short-sighted decision if they didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be.
It would be so poor. And when they have the technology, they can use it and really drive home the fact that they are the top dogs in what they do. And that is something that it would be stupid not to do, because it would be not disingenuous. It's not that bad. It's just short-sighted in terms of where they could stand as the it just works out the box company,
right,
with a high flow nozzle. Like, if you want to be the top of the leaderboards with I can print this thing in X amount of time, you need high flow. And they want that. They've always wanted that. It's why their first thing they showed was a benchy printing in, what was it, like 12 minutes? Was it?
something like that?
Or was
yeah.
it 18. Like either way, they're like when their first thing that they showed people was Speed Benchy because they
Yes.
wanted to be the top of the leaderboard and we print faster. Now that they're going point 0.6 and they have the ability to high flow, they could print like a kilo box in 4 or 5 hours instead of an entire day.
Yep.
That is a sales point,
Oh, it's a huge
and
sales point, especially for
it's huge.
businesses. Like the print farmers out there would look at this and say, this is everything that I wanted in an X1. More specifically, everything that I wanted in a P series machine, right? And I'm getting more value out of it.
Yeah.
What will be interesting is going to be the price point, right? Like the H2D surprised all of us by being incredibly affordable. It's only like what, $600-700 more than the X1 Carbon?
Yeah.
Where the hell is this going to sit? Or
I
is this
have
going...
no idea.
This could just straight out replace the X1 Carbon, and now the X1 is no longer being sold, right?
I think this has to be more expensive because it's bigger. Like volume is a
We said
valuable
this, but
commodity.
we said this about
But
the
we
H2D.
also were like off by double for the H2D.
Yeah, but their ability to manufacture has only gotten better, right? And now that they're locking things down and the community is, maybe they're not okay with it, but they're okay with it, right? Like they're accepting of these lockdowns as just the cost of doing business. That kind of stuff is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right? So could the new lockdown side of it allow them to lower the price point because there's a long-term play of continuing to lock down? And that's the concern that I have, is like, people said BAMBU would never do what they just did. They're continuing to tell me, oh, they'll never lock you down to only use their materials. Guys, that is literally the next process of this. The next process of this...
They don't even need to do that because most of the people who buy a bambulab will buy bamboo filament as it is.
Yes, and there's a lot of reason to do it, right? The RFID does make it so much easier. I'm not going to debate the fact that they've made 3D printing easier, but I worry that they're also limiting your choices, which some of the more power users are not going to like. And when we look at what this new X2 Pro could be, that starts to worry me that people are going to dump their X1 Carbons that had a lot more openness to them because they want the larger machine and potentially regret that decision. Winslow Joy for the $10 tribute for the ad-free stream. Thank you very much. And Dreams Void, Doug here saying, for science and the lemon drizzle cake. Jacob, you have to invite him over at some point.
I've got to get Doug a lemon drizzle cake now.
He's
it will happen. It will happen.
By the way, I'll tell this one. I am clearly being my algorithm is clearly being infiltrated by by the Brits. I've been getting fed this content creator who bought Lincoln's ugliest building apparently and is refurbishing it to be the Victorian style police station that it used to be. And I'm like, this is literally the town that Jacob lives in. It would be like Jacob getting a short feed on his algorithm of someone doing that kind of work in Wesley Chapel, Florida. Like, I can tell you that I live in Tampa, but I really live in Wesley Chapel. And like, that's the level that this would be. That was so funny, man. I had to send it to him. He's like, good, the Brits are infiltrating. And I should have responded with, we all saw what happened last time you guys tried that. But
yeah, you're right. We burnt down your building and we called it the White House afterwards.
The whole Revolutionary War or something we're just gonna forget about.
Yeah, no. The only important thing was one building was brown and now it is white.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. But yeah, that was pretty funny. And since we are at the hour mark, let's go ahead and hit that billing department. So if you guys do like the episodes that we have here and you do want to support the show, that that we run. You can do so by joining for as little as $1 a month in the links in that description. That's PayPal, Patreon, YouTube channel members. At the $10 tier and higher, you get to come hang out in our private Discord, where we traditionally do an after the show hangout in the Discord. And let's see, I'm sure there are people there hanging out right now making fun of us.
Oh, there is.
Yeah. Yeah, who's in there? Oh my God, there's a lot
nice
of them.
gaggle of people.
Justin is in there, which is weird. I don't see him all that often. Yeah, Anna's in there, Chris is in there, Justin, Mad Cat, Reliance 3D, and Nomad are all hanging out in there. So, yeah, if you do want to go hang out with us after the show, you can do that. Big thank you to Printed Solid, who is the filament sponsor for the show. If you do want to enter to win some Printed Solid filament, it is in that pinned chat message. We will reiterate, it is the first thing in the description that we are hiring editors. So if you have editing skills and you would like to edit for the channel, or you'd like to edit directly for the podcast, you can reach out to us. And still the same title, it's Video Editor 0625. You got to do just a little bit of work. Thank you to those that have reached out. We have set, we've set meetings with everybody so far. Thank you all for reaching out. We're going to leave submissions open probably for another week or so, since it hasn't gone out audio only yet. And yeah, then we're going to start kind of whittling it down and seeing if we can get ourselves at least one new editor, but potentially more than one. And a huge thank you to Construct 3D, the sponsor of the podcast. If you do want to check out some of UK's fastest 3D printers, the first BAMBU 3D printer, you can do so at construct-3d.com. Construct 2 is coming out. We're very excited for that. It's going to be a really cool machine. I've seen a lot of things that I probably should have signed more documentation to see, but, Jacob can torpedo the podcast, so it's fine. There's a mutually assured destruction friend DA that exists here. But do check out
that, a friend DA.
Yeah, friend DA. Yeah. You've never heard friend DA before?
No, I've never.
Oh my God. Yeah.
The one I like is voluntold, but that was like the only like weird play on words that I know of. But
I'll do another one
DA,
for you.
Like
a dot comrade, which is your internet friends.
Ooh,
your internet friends. But yeah, if you do want to check them out, construct-3d.com. Thank you for sponsoring the show. We are seeking dedicated sponsors for the podcast. So if you or a company that you know would be interested in sponsoring the show, with over 200 people watching us live, over 1.6 million views and listens throughout every platform, to get your business or a business that you might know of heard out there to the ears of many, you could reach out to us as well. Just email YouTube at 3dmusketeers.com and we'll get you set up with a sponsorship, because we are seeking more sponsors. And yeah, SoundSpark, 200 watchers and only 58 likes. I gotta pump those numbers up. Don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, and donate to keep the stream ad-free as usual, which is funny because I'm doing an ad in an ad-free stream. This is why we want a podcast editor, so we can cut all of this stuff out.
I just desperately want an actual sponsor, so I don't have to get embarrassed every time you sponsor me.
Yeah, and there's no...
Just sit here go like, yes, I can't do anything. I'm just here like, yes, this is weird.
And every single time, I'm just going off my head. I don't have, like, notes or anything like that for Construct. I just go off of what I know, so...
You know enough about what Construct stands for just to be able to be like, it's this.
It's true. Yeah, if you're a small business and are looking for a reliable, safe 3D printer... construct-3d.com. Simple as that. Rob Lutter, member for 2 months, basic support, says, guys, I feel crazy on A1 Reddit. Why do people care so little about their rights after buying something? I see he finished it. Why? Because it just works, right? They're not concerned about their rights because it hasn't affected them yet. They will be concerned when it affects them, and that is, I didn't think the leopards would eat my face. Dominic,
this is literally the Apple mentality of, and bear in mind, I should say I am an Apple, I wouldn't call myself a fanboy, but I'm in the ecosystem.
Oh, hey, you got a new phone.
I would give no, it's still the broken phone with the crack from Sweden.
Yeah, when you said, "Oh, my phone, I can drop it before it doesn't break," and then literally 20 minutes later,
literally
you had a crack.
shattered the screen.
Yeah, that was.
So bearing in mind, like, I do not put phone cases on my phones. I like how thin they are, and I like the engineering that goes into building them.
Phone cases.
But I have had this phone it's an iPhone 11,
You don't get
so
away
it's
with
ever
this.
since it came out. And what ended up happening was I had a case at the start. The case actually broke my phone screen once, so I replaced the phone screen. And then for 4 years, I had no case, no screen protector, no
Just raw
nothing.
dogging it.
I raw dogged the phone. I dropped it onto concrete multiple times. I dropped out my window by accident. I opened my car door and it would fall onto the asphalt.
The Swedish
Nothing
concrete
would
is
go
just built
wrong.
different.
But the Swedish concrete just instantly clipped it just right, and it would just shattered the entire thing. And it didn't kill the phone either.
No, no. I mean, it'll just
So
crack the
I'm
screen. It's
still
no big
stuck
deal.
with this phone. I do love this phone.
Uh,
But going to what I was saying was, it's the Apple mentality.
yes.
I will always pick an Apple phone up because I don't want to mess with anything. I just want a phone that works, takes average pictures. It doesn't need to be the best across
No,
the
the newer
board.
iPhones
It
take some
just,
of the best videos and
oh,
pictures
they
out
take
there,
some of the
period.
best.
Yeah.
But I just want to pick up and it work and it's smooth and it's uniform for everything. And that's the one thing that Apple has done really well with their closed wall ecosystem
Mm-hmm.
is it's their ecosystem. They control everything.
Yeah.
And once you know how they work, you can guarantee that behavior across every other aspect of their device. Bamboo Lab have done the same. They have turned around and gone, you get no rights. It's barely your machine. We can turn it off if we want. We can do whatever we want because it's a Bamboo Lab machine. But what we give in return is when you click print, you will get a good to a massively above average quality print with zero modifications pretty much every time. And if it goes wrong, we will give you a code that tells you exactly what went wrong. If you need documentation, here is all the documentation. They have got the user experience
Yeah. And
perfect.
that's why people are willing to let
And
go of
that's
some
why
of their
people buy.
rights every single
Yeah.
time. Yep.
Honestly, if Bamboo Lab came out with an industrial machine that got rid of all of the tracking, they would own the industrial market within hours
Mm-hmm.
because they've got the user experience. The only biggest hurdle that most companies have with the Bamboo Lab machines is the data security, but not the usability. Their
Mm-hmm.
usability is fantastic. And that is that, like, people will pay for convenience. I will pay for convenience. Our customers that buy from me pay for convenience.
Yep.
It is the thing that drives most purchases. Uh, and that is why people in the A1 Reddit are happy to give away a lot of what they used to have because they're getting something better.
Real quick before we go back on a topic, Dominic Versetto said he'll be in Wesley Chapel next week, that his daughter bought a house there on Friday. If it is in either of the lagoon communities, you're literally like in my backyard. Text the shop. So if you go to Google and you search for the shop, you'll find the shop number. Text it. It goes to my cell phone, and we can get together if you want. Assuming I'm available, right? If I'm available, we can get together. I have no problem getting together with fans when they're in town and all that. So if that's your kind of thing, yeah, just let me know. If you're gonna be in the area, why not? But yeah, I have to agree that when you make it easy, people don't exactly, they don't care. They're willing to give up some of their rights and some of their, I guess their control in
Yeah.
exchange for things working well, right?
Mm.
But as
I
soon
mean,
as
it's why people bought Prusas. Like the Prusa Mark III was so popular because it just worked. It was the golden boy printer
but it was
because you
also open
turn it on and you
source.
got a print.
You know,
I would
open
still
source
argue
mattered.
open source was really important, but that's not why people bought them because the
It was
entire
not the big
industry was
selling
pretty
point.
much open source.
Yeah, it was not the
People
big
bought
selling
them
point.
because it was reliable quality with good after sales,
Right.
and you turn the machine on, it works.
Yep.
And if it doesn't work, you've got the after sales service line. And it's the same thing but with Bamboo Lab. And Bamboo Lab have gone to another level where they've closed it down and they've done what Prusa did, which what made them popular was it works.
Yep.
And anyone, if you ask anyone, would you rather have a machine that you control 100% but it doesn't work, or a machine that you control maybe 20% and it works? They're going to choose the one that works every time.
I
Because
mean,
if
people.
they say otherwise, they're lying. That nobody buys a machine that doesn't work
Well,
because you're not buying anything worthwhile.
and the push for, self-driving cars is only further proof of that, right? Like people wanting lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control and things like that. You're giving up your control of the vehicle in exchange for something that in theory should work. Now, like, I enjoyed having that when we were in Colorado, the adaptive cruise, the lane keep, and all that. It was
Yep.
super cool. But my 23-year-old car, one of the options it has is cruise control. Just regular cruise control, which, again, is giving up some level of control
Mm.
for having a nice to have option. We've gotten used to it over the years. Is it necessarily a bad thing? No, but I think people have to think a little harder about what is going on and why it's happening and the main reasons behind it more than they currently do.
Yep.
So,
Also, I could
Luke said I
never go to
disagree.
a
It's
car
probably a
without cruise
safety
control.
feature.
Cruise
No.
control is so nice.
I don't think that, and yes, I understand that, like, lane keep and all that, that is all safety features as well. It's also you are losing control.
Yeah. You've got a co-pilot, which is called the car, and the car will decide to veer if
Yeah.
it thinks you're going to do a stupid.
Luke's Lab says, I know for sure that I'm a safe driver with dynamic cruise control in his Golf. It's a Golf R, sir. You own a Golf R. Call it a Golf R, or I'm going to come take it and give you a regular Golf. By the way, I need a picture of it for the video, for our interview. I need a picture of it. So just, like, send me a picture of it. He said, I don't want to brag, but okay. Says the guy with a Swiss mill, or Swiss lathe, excuse me. Says the guy with a Swiss lathe, doesn't want to brag. You're not bragging. Look, you've done well for yourself. You're enjoying some of the things in life that you want to enjoy, and that's totally acceptable. So, that's life. It's part of it. Another thing that was brought up earlier on, gift card sales are frozen.
I did not know anything about that until you literally typed it into the doc. Do you want to clue me in?
Yeah, so traditionally BAMBU freezes gift card sales when they're about to release a new machine, so that people can't just bank a bunch of gift cards with Maker World points.
Oh.
Yep.
Interesting.
Because Maker
Do
World
we know
points
like
don't
the
cost
average
anything.
amount? Yeah, do we know the average amount of time when they freeze to versus when they release?
No.
Like, is it weeks or months?
It was in the chat that Chris Catlett saw it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I don't know how long it takes them to unfreeze it, but yeah, the gift card sales are currently frozen. So
without me knowing
weeks,
how
not
long the
months.
freeze lasts for. Okay, cool. So we're probably going to be expecting the new printer to launch within a month.
Well,
in that case,
at least teased, which would be, is that too soon?
So I talked this about you earlier, and I didn't put it in the doc just because I didn't think it was suitable, because it's just me. I think this is just a me
It's so
emotional
close to the
like
H2D
response.
if it's the next couple of months.
Don't think there's any hype for this. Like one of the things I wanted to get across is this is a really cool machine and this is something to be hyped about.
Yeah, I'm hyped
But
about
I don't
it.
feel any personal hype for this, and that's entirely because all the hype we had for bigger, better machine went to the H2D and then it burnt it. And now there hasn't been that ramp of what you want. And now we're looking at a comparison, because comparison is the thief of joy, where previously, if this machine came out first, it was the X1 versus what we now know is the X2. You'd be, oh, wow, this is amazing. This is so good. Now instead, I'm comparing the X2 to the H2. And I'm looking at them and I'm going, well, the X2 is actually one nozzle less. And it doesn't look like it's got a window, and it might have lost like the multi-material features, and it just feels kind of dampened on a machine that if I was doing it before then, I would have been raving its glories for ages, just because I'm comparing it against the wrong machine.
So it would make sense to me that BAMBU is going to cut the X1. Right? It would make sense to me that they're going to cut the X1 carbon. It's going to go away from their system. If this is the case, they've already stopped production. Right? They've already stopped production, and then they're just going to maintain a certain level of parts. They'll maintain, whatever inventory of machines they have left, and then this will just take over. If it doesn't take over, its price point's going to be really weird, and it's not going to make sense, right? Because it can't be more than an H2D. H2D is $2,000. Next one, Carbon. As an American, I can't look at the prices because I don't know if they're tariffed or not right now. And what I think they're back down in price. Honestly, it changes by the day these days. But I would assume this machine's probably going to be in like the $1,400 to $1,500 range US. Pre-order, if they do a Kickstarter, which I doubt they will, but if they do a Kickstarter, probably at $1,000, but maybe $1,400, 1,500. You're saying, okay, so it's £1,000. So like,
yeah, it's £1,000,
like 1,400 US.
I'm checking it now. Obviously this might be without tariff or not. I'm not entirely certain. But it's saying $1,250.
Okay.
Is the base, no AMS, just the base machine, X1 Carbon, 1.25.
So Luke said, are we assuming this unit is bigger than the X1? Based on the leaked photo, we know that it is. Its Z-axis is 340. Now, it could be 256 by 256 by 340, but we did have someone in here that said they have seen this machine in person. Now, again, grain of salt, I don't know who this person is. I can't corroborate any of the evidence. If they wanted to email me further evidence, they're welcome to. I'm checking. I do not have any further evidence in my inbox.
But from that leak and that person saying
they're saying
it appears the machine volume is about 20% bigger than the H2D.
It is.
So I did the math on it.
Yeah.
It's about 20%.
The claim is 360 by 335 by 340. That is the current claim. That would put it roughly the same dimensions as an H2D, the same build plate as an H2D, just a single head. This will be interesting to me of how many people will get pissed off. It was the same thing that happened when the P1S came out. How many people will get pissed off they bought the H2D for a larger Bamboo if this comes out, is larger, is cheaper? I think a lot of them have enjoyed the multi-nozzle system, right? The dual nozzle. I don't think a lot of people are really messing around with the laser too much. I'm sure there are some people. I'd be curious to know the numbers on those laser sales for the H2D. Or more specifically, since I'm sure they're able to figure it out, how many hours the lasers have been used on H2Ds. But, will they be upset and say, oh, had I known about this, I would have waited?
Because I think it's going to be contentious. There's definitely going to be some ruffled feathers, and it all depends on what the price point is. Because the cheaper the price point, the more feathers are going to be ruffled.
Yes.
And that is where it's going to be, let's call it a spicy moment for BAMBULAB, where they might have lowered the price to be a good product, but accidentally pissed off their current customers. So again, like in British pounds, the H2D is 1,600 and the X1 is 1,000. So there's only a £600 difference, which is not that much when you consider the amount you're gaining to go to H2.
Yeah.
If they just replace the X1 with the X2, it's insultingly cheap. In a way that I would buy it instantly at that stage because of the price.
£1,250 would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Like $1,250 for the X2 Pro or whatever the heck we want to call it would make sense to me, which puts it at like 1,500 US, I think.
And that makes a lot more sense. Like, I do think this machine, because it's bigger, should be valued higher than the X1 series.
But will it replace the X1? Right? Will they stop production on the X1?
I would say it all depends on the flow rate of the nozzle. If they are coming standard with high flow, I would have stopped production on the X1. If not, I would have kept production on the X1 because they do something different. Now, there's one unspoken benefit of making a higher flow machine. It's one of the reasons we will always give high flow, because the customers that come to us also come to us for filament. We don't make filament, we just resell it. And the faster you use filament, the faster they buy more. So having a high flow nozzle as your default is a very good thing to add in a base machine because they're going to come back for more filament. And Bamboo Lab sell their own, they make their own filament, which means if you have doubled your flow rate, they are consuming twice as much material per unit of time. They're going to buy more material from you.
Right.
And I'd say that is what will determine if they cancel or continue with the X1 is about the flow rate of the X2. Because if they, well, think of it, we're in a board meeting now. We're around the big wooden circular table. You're at one head, I'm at the other head. And then I come to you going, hey, we've got a bigger, faster, better machine that will double filament sales. It's slightly more expensive than our last machine, but it's better in every way from a finance point of view to a not. You're going to cancel the one that's not earning as much money. Just straight up, you're going to cancel that one. And I think that is going to be the decision factor is it's not the size, it's the speed. And that will overflow to if it's a cancellation or not.
I mean, I say it's not about the size, about how you use it, and that is of course a long running joke now that I guess we will also have to further implement in future videos, other than
Yep.
you slamming the door in my face saying no. Um, but I I have to agree, right? They're doing what DJI does, where they sell the equipment itself, like the raw hardware, at
Mm.
as close to a loss as they possibly can get before their investors get pissed off and they play the filament game, because like we know what it costs to produce filament in the United States. um we know what it costs, we know what filament costs in China. So we have a fan in China that said it's about $8.20 or $9.20 for a roll of bamboo filament in
That
China.
seems quite high.
Well, they're still making a profit on it, but that's half of what it costs in the States, right?
Oh, I thought you
It's
meant that
like,
was production cost.
no, 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 that's retail. That's
Bloody
retail.
hell.
Yeah. Um, Filament is where money is made. And on average, my basic, so I'm not going to use the real numbers. I'm going to use roundabout numbers. On average in the States with US labor, filament should run you somewhere in the range of $6 to $12 per kilogram,
That
right?
seems in line with what I know.
Yeah,
So in the
that's
UK,
cost.
the raw nurdle stock is about £4 per kilo.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the raw pellets. And then you've got all the labor on top, which probably bumps it to 6 to at most maybe 8
Yeah.
pounds per kilo per reel.
Oh, the bulk of the cost in producing filament is the spool and the people.
Yeah.
Right? That's the bulk in producing filament, especially in the States. Um, so when you're looking at Chinese manufacturing being what it is, they will make a lot more money on the filament sales. So similar to how DJI does it, they'll sell the raw hardware for damn near cost, which will basically force the hand of the industry to follow it or fail, right?
Yep.
Like if you can't maintain a similar price point, you are doomed to fail. Or you have to shift your focus to a different target segment, and they'll make their money back on the filament, assuming that the vast majority of their customers, or at least a large minority of them, will only use bamboo filament, right? And there's value to that. There's a lot of value to that. I mean, we were up at the Electric Ranch, hanging out with Scotty from Strange Parts, and like he's got an H2D. He barely had it unboxed. He's like, "Oh yeah, if you want to go play with it, you can go play with it." There was a laser that needed unboxing. We ended up going for a hike actually, which was amazing. And yeah, that'll all be coming out for patrons and that kind of thing here soon. But he said, "Yeah, I only buy bamboo filament." And he's like, I know that kind of goes against what most people would expect. He said, but ultimately 3D printers are tools for me and I need it to work. And I don't want to accidentally send it, the wrong thing, or I've clicked the wrong thing, or I've done this the wrong way. he said because the printers are a tool in the greater business of content creation, I'm okay paying a slight premium to buy bamboo filament. And he said they also, they send him filament because he's a big time content creator. So like that makes a lot of sense to me. Something that like me as a business owner, no, I won't do. But my machine is also air gapped, it's cracked, and all of those things. So like I don't just print Prussiament, right? Similarly, Prusa has the profile designed for Prussiament. You actually rarely see me print in Prussiament. We don't print in it very often. Because it's not needed, and its added cost is not one that often has a lot of extra value. If it had an RFID tag in it that the machines could read, that could verify everything and adjust settings, sure, but it doesn't. So I buy it when I need the special colors, special materials, or we have a very, very like hyper specific client that needs a higher quality material. And then I just go buy it from Printed Solid because they're making Prussiament in America. So it's easy for me to get. And that's why I have like random 2-kilo rolls of Prussiament laying around the shop. So yeah, I believe that at least for the vast majority of users, Bambu's going to make their money on the materials. And so that's why
it's all the consumables.
If this is the X2 Pro, if they don't stop production of the X1, which they may not, I think this is going to land somewhere in the $1,500 range, just under the H2D. If they do stop production of the X1 Carbon, $1,250.
I think you're right on that. Like, it's close enough to the H2D that I could even like make an argument it will be priced the same as a H2D. You have a divergent path of single nozzle bigger, dual nozzle smaller. Though I don't think they would do that. I think they would make it cheaper because at the end of the day, people are going to see 2 nozzle versus 1 nozzle and they're going to go, oh, it's a cheaper version. Even though the real selling point is size, they're just going to see the head complexity and they're going to justify the quality of the machine based on that.
They might.
I do think the 1,500 or like £1,250 mark is it's what I think they would go for. Personally, I would like to see them not stop the X1. I think smaller machines still have their place. Everyone needs, at the end of the day, like a bank of machines. And if those machines are twice the size, you can only fit half the amount in. So there's still that use case for let's have smaller machines. What is interesting is that this is possibly called the X2 Pro, meaning we might be seeing like a P2 or something coming out,
it would make
where
sense.
it is no side panels.
Well,
like if we're following with what they've done previously with the X1 Carbon and then the P1P, this could be the same way where there's the X2 Pro with the side panels and everything's done, and then the X or the P2 where they're just like, yep, just pop the side panels off and you're done, and then lower that by another $200, and then you've capitalized on the large format market.
And all you're doing is you're reducing cost and you're reducing assembly time, right? So you're saving the two major things that add to the cost of a main product, which is physical pieces and then people to assemble it or machine time to assemble it. It's just ridiculous how low we're going for this. I mean, a printer this size. Well, I mean, let's compare it to a single toolhead XL, right? Single toolhead XL is what, $1,500, $2,500? I don't know off the top of my head, and
that is already not an expensive machine in my eyes for the complexity of that machine.
Well, it's single toolhead, right?
But the toolheads in reality, they're not the expensive bit. It's the assembly, production, manufacturing, quality control. It's all of that adds up, and it's like the single head, the type of that is better.
2,000
like
for the semi-assembled, XL, to be clear.
But no, a single toolhead XL is the type of product that Prusa probably knows they're not going to sell many of, because people are buying it for 2 toolheads or 3 toolheads.
I bet they do actually sell quite a few of them. I bet they
Really?
do. People just want a bigger Prusa, right? They
That
they
is
they
also
want to
true.
maintain the same ecosystem, but they have the opportunity to add two, add five, right?
Yeah.
And that is the value of something like the XL is you can get in bed with an XL for, you know, 2,000 2,500 bucks basically after shipping and all that, and spend smaller amounts of money, but then upgrade it to be a 2 tool head or a 5 tool head or
Yeah.
whatever you want it to be. Like Prusa allows that. Now, are you going to spend more money than doing it all up front? Yes, obviously. Um, you know, I I love my XL. It has been a reliable workhorse in our factory. It is it is not fast, right? It has issues with cooling that I still think need to be resolved, and there are some community mods to do it. I'm wondering if Prusa's going to look at like kind of allowing or adopting those community mods, but otherwise, my XL is absolutely bulletproof.
Yeah.
I can literally click print. I don't even have to watch the first layer. I just walk away, and it has been an amazing machine for us. Um,
Mhm.
but it's nowhere near as fast as modern. I'm going to put air quotes around modern 3D printers. But
Mhm.
when you compare a 4 color print on an X1 Carbon versus that same 4 color print on a Prusa XL, the Prusa XL wipes the floor with it. Mind you, it's double the price, but it will do it in like a quarter of the time.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the purging, the heating up, the cooling. You don't have any of that crap. You're just 15 seconds for a nozzle change and purge, and you're done.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm starting to think that with the aggressive price point of Bamboo Lab, there's almost a market for people buying brand new Bamboo Lab machines, ripping out the motherboards and rebuilding them on the same hardware.
That's where Big Tree Tech comes in with the Panda Cyborg.
Yeah.
So they're already doing that with the X1 Carbon. They will be releasing a fully, a full conversion kit that is new boards and everything to be a Big Tree Tech machine. Um, I am hoping to work with them on that project. I don't want to gut my current X1 Carbon. I want to get another one and
Mm,
gut that one. And then compare my cracked OG X1 Carbon to a Panda Cyborg. I
yeah.
agree. Like, BAMBU builds a stout machine. They are
Oh yeah.
stoutly built. They understand engineering, and they over engineer, in my opinion, sometimes things that don't really matter. Uh, but there is opportunity to just rip all the crap out of it,
Mhm.
right? But it is harder than you think because the machines are so heavily connected.
They're so locked
Yeah,
down where the daughterboard on the hot end speaks to an encoder in the door, speaks to an MCU in a light strip, and then that speaks to the main motherboard. It is a lot more challenging than just rip out one motherboard and put another in.
right.
And I am aware of that. It would be really nice to see like a cracked version of like a H2D or an X2 or an X1, that sort of
Oh, dude,
stuff.
I
Because
totally agree.
I'm not sure how many people realize how cheap Bamboo Lab machines actually are for the hardware costs.
I was
So,
literally
for
going to Facebook
example,
Marketplace right now to see
if
how cheap I can
if
get
I
one for.
sold our XL printer for the same price as their X2 or their H2D, I would be making a substantial loss on every machine we built. That is a fact. That is how aggressive the pricing of Bamboo Lab machines are in terms of pricing, where a lot of companies cannot compete with them because they have massively optimized their manufacturing on top of the fact that they're probably selling these either at a loss or break even because they know that they've got the customer base now where the machine, and this is a fact for any 3D printer company, a machine is a one-time purchase. filament is a recurring purchase.
Right.
And just because of that, Bamboo Lab have probably gone, well, why do we want a little bit of initial cash flow injection when we can lock them into a really nice ecosystem where we can sell them 10 rolls of filament and earn all of the profit back that one machine would have sold? That is a very smart decision. It's a decision that only works if you have financial backing because there is a risk to it. But now Bamboo have that size. They've got the scale. They don't need to worry about the price of the machine anymore. They can Xbox it and sell it below the cost of manufacturing
Yep.
because they know your average customer is probably going to buy, like, I don't know, like, call it 25 reels a year. If they know they're going to spend 25 reels a year because they've gathered the data, they could just feed that into their algorithm and go, oh yeah, this is the price of the machine because we know we're going to gain this much profit per year per customer. That is powerful.
So to give you an idea, if I look locally, there's a Bamboo X1 Carbon with a bunch of extras. They want $11.50 for it. They're out of their mind. There's an X1 Carbon about 40 minutes away from me for $800. I think that's a lot more reasonable. They're not trading as low as I thought they would trade for. I see someone trying to sell P1S for $850. Like, get the hell out of here. It is a combo, but like, get the hell out of here. And then, yeah, I don't see a lot of other Bamboos on the market. When I'm scrolling, I see a Mark III for $350, which I think is a little high for a Mark III in this economy. But, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
Prusa Mini in Naples for $150. Damn, that's a good price for a Mini.
That's a good price.
Yeah.
Tina Schultz asking, are you aware if the cracked firmware or the open source firmware is still available for the Bamboos?
No, you'll have to talk to the X1 Plus people. I have no clue.
I'm assuming with how many firmware changes have happened, they've locked it down and it would only work on older firmwares.
Well, I mean, as it is, to put that firmware on, you have to sign away your rights, which does violate the Mangus and Moss Warranty Act here in the United States, but you know, you're voluntarily signing a document. So yeah. Chris Gatlin says X1 Plus is still available. You have to downgrade via the waiver. So yeah. I still disagree with how they're doing it, but I
mean, we're old guard. We knew how great the open source and community was. Like, we are only here as a community. Every watcher is only here because of every other maker that made the industry possible. And Bamboo Lab have come along and stood on top of the corpses of open source to then become as profitable as they are now. And that is why I feel bad about it. As much as I can praise them, they are the bad guy in my eyes because they've done that.
But specifically, they propped their company up on the laurels of open source. Their Core XY design systems and, you know, all of this is because of open source. Like, they even deliberately thank the open source community, and then they just give them the middle finger because, oh, we care about profit more than we do the community. And so many people look at Bamboo as like the savior of 3D printing. And while I believe they have pushed us into a renaissance era of 3D printing, under no circumstances do I consider them a savior. I consider them a shot of nitrous into the system. But at the same time, when you put power adders into a motor, into a car, whether that's nitrous, turbo, supercharger, procharger, whatever, if you don't beef up the internals, eventually head gaskets, connecting rods, like you end up with failures. So is it worth the power adder? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves. And many people aren't asking, is it worth what's happening in this industry? They're looking at, no, I want better thing. And they're ignoring kind of what's occurring around them, which is you're getting stuck with one company, maybe two, doing all of the hardcore innovation. And if you don't want to pay their premium, if you don't want to deal with a locked ecosystem, you're screwed to just simply pick up the scraps. And it's kind of frustrating to me. It's kind of frustrating.
It really is.
Yeah. You know, Pez Liz said the next frontier is educating the people with set it and forget it printers about 3D printing. Lots of one-on-one troubleshooting. It is why we continue the Print Fix Friday series. We are debating on changing the Print Fix Friday series, but it requires so much work. What I want to do to change it is do like one fail a week, but it is like a one-on-one assist, right? Where the person
Oh,
that
like a
has it,
hyper curated,
yeah, like
like just
someone
take this and see how it works.
that reaches out that has a problem, we get on a video
Mm.
call, we record the video call, we run test prints here to verify different things, we try different slicer settings, and we have that whole hero's journey, which is valuable for videos. It things that we've learned over the past couple of weeks, visiting people that have significantly larger YouTube channels than us and just talking shop, is that while the concepts of a lot of our videos are good, we kind of suck at telling stories. And while we're not bad at telling stories normally, we're bad at telling stories in a chopped down, cut down way that is good for YouTube. The problem with Print Fix Friday is that there's no payoff. I'm telling you how to fix it, but I'm not, because we almost never get follow-ups. We never follow up with,
Mm.
did the fix work?
Like you could aggressively cut down Print Fix Friday into 50 seconds per problem,
If that.
where it's here's the problem, and you just saying the fix is this, and then immediately it's done.
We literally had a series, and we ran out of editing time. So like we're hiring editors. Hi, if you want to edit, just email us, description, check for information. We had a whole series called Print Fix Bites, which was a short form style, 45-second, here's problem, here's the fix, do it. I used to record dedicated content for it on a vertical format, but it got very frustrating for me because I'm basically reiterating everything that I just did in Print Fix Friday, and I'm like having to force myself to talk faster, when in reality, it still has to go to editing anyways. I might as well just pay an editor to take the content that we already have that is recorded separately. So like the face cam and the Grant screen cam are recorded separately, and then they can just put it together, right? And then we can pay people more money to do more things. So, we're looking at changing that because the journey itself matters. And I worry that a lot of what we're seeing here is flexing the muscles of cheap manufacturing and damn good engineers that have access to cheap manufacturing, that is kind of taking over the industry. And I think a lot of the old school, the OGs here, we are understanding of what's happening. We just can't do anything to stop it.
Especially as the success of BAMBU has brought, I'm going to easily say double the amount of users into the industry.
That's low.
Just from it's massively low. We already know the numbers of what bambulab is selling.
They've put a zero on the amount of users in this industry.
Easily.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people I know that now have a bambulab that never had one.
Yeah.
One of my cousins who is like 8 has a bambulab, and they never touched they didn't even question it. They've got one now. Like, just because of the sheer quantity of numbers of people, we're the old guard, and we are now the minority. We are very much outspoken because we are a much smaller side of the community. We are the maker community. We're not the 3D printing community anymore. We just happen to love 3D printing, and it's all because we've been drowned out. And that's not a bad thing. That would have happened eventually. Technology would have got better. AI would have got more like interesting, so it utilizes 3D printing more. The environment would have grown. It's grown so quickly and so rapidly. We are now the only ones that seem to remember how good it was through all of the bad. And
I miss the community
it does make us sound a bit old.
Right? Like I miss the community aspect of this industry, and like literally we talked about it on Print Fix Friday, where an individual was talking about, doing an experiment by removing PLA from their build plate, or material from their build plate, by putting the entire build plate with the part in an oven. And they deleted their post because they were getting absolutely roasted in the comments. Now, I guess apparently they had asked about this before and they argued with people. They made a new post showing what happened, and like the top thing was like room temperature IQ moves. Like, I don't care if they're doing something stupid. It's still a phenomenal learning experience for everybody in general.
Yep.
And it upsets me of how this industry has become very much a, if you're not on our team, you're against us. And like,
I mean, spoiler alert, I've done that. I've put a build plate in the oven because I wanted to soften the material.
It does work. It's not recommended.
It actually does work.
It just works.
Now, if people actually looked at the picture before they went room temperature IQ moments, they would have realized the build plate was fine.
Yeah.
It was the air bubbles underneath the adhesive. The adhesive failed, not the build plate.
Yep.
And that isn't really an issue. You let it cool down and you squidge it back down and it'll be fine. And even if it wasn't, it's still great data.
It's a great learning experience. And if they're willing to risk it, like, we as a community can take some knowledge and learn from it. And it's like, this is not how this industry was before Bambu came along. Now, to be clear, this is not their fault. It is not Bambu's fault at all. This is normal. This is what happens in communities, right? Like, go to the ham radio community, go to the model train community, go to any like long-standing community.
Any 3D, not 3D printing, gaming community, there's a free weekend. Yeah. If there's a free weekend, everyone's like, oh my God, all these people are so bad at the game. It's like, no, they're just new. That's it. They don't assume everyone else has the same level of knowledge you have. You have done so many fuck-ups that you've never even remembered because the human mind will forget them. Yep. They're just doing that, and you saw it, and you were like, well, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, no, you would have done that.
Yeah,
if you were in their shoes and you saw the logic, you would have done it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, God, yeah, the old Voron community was toxic.
Dude, I got banned from their Discord back in the day.
The old Voron community is the reason I didn't go with Clipper as the main driving force. Mm-hmm. Because this is before I knew about data safety and all that. When I was making my own personal machines, I was like, which community do I want to engage with? You had RepRap, which was the lovely let's help each other and learn together, and Voron, which was the cesspool of you should have known this already, why aren't you programming in assembly?
And now Voron's like,
you can tell which one I went with.
Well, Voron is now all better, right? They're so much better with it. And part of it is we end up gatekeeping the industry, right? Where people say, if you don't buy this, you're wasting your money, or there's part of me says that I want an open industry, but to some extent you do need to have knowledge, right? And so it's weird that I don't want to actively gatekeep, but at the same time, I would love it if manufacturers did a better job of like adequately preparing their users to answer the basic questions. Because you know what? It can get frustrating to hear the same thing over and over again because people don't know how to search, or they're not willing to search. And the manufacturers themselves have very, very bad ways for people to find those answers. And some people, like the purists, would say, well, Grant, that's gatekeeping. I'd say, no, it's not. I would argue that it is an onus of a manufacturer to do their best to support their community, and at the same time, it would lower their own support tickets. But yeah, look, Prussia's had nasty fanboys. I think a lot of that's kind of gone now. I guess the joke in the chat is that the nasty Voron fanboys went to Bambu. Like, Bambu is certain, the Bambu fan people are certainly a bit of a problem. But with that being said,
they're at the top of the Dunning-Kruger graph. And yes, I know the Dunning-Kruger graph is in itself a Dunning-Kruger graph of the Dunning-Kruger graph.
Yep.
But for the sake of it, they're at the top where they've gone from something and they're at the peak where Bambu is. They're like, oh, Bambu's great and everything's like, they don't really see through the windows. It's a very rose tinted view of what they know. Uh,
Well, it
yeah,
you know, we always wonder if the nasty part of the community are people that have a little bit of buyer's remorse and are utilizing that nastiness as a method of validating their purchase, right? You never know, right? Without being able to get into somebody else's head, it is always complicated. And like we continue with Print Fix Friday when in reality it is often week after week after week it's kind of the same stuff. Like, yes, there's some differences to it, and the advice can be different based on the machine, but like first layer issues, nozzle clog issues, like they're so consistently the same damn thing. And I have to admit, it does frustrate me because, like, as a content creator, I want to find new, unique print issues and be able to talk about them. But I feel like that's not what people are searching for these days because ultimately you have to know what it's called to be able to search for it,
yeah.
right? I, you know,
Like knowledge is a double-edged sword.
knowledge is a
If
double-edged sword.
you don't know what you don't know, which also means you don't know how to Google what you don't know to
Mhm.
find the answer to what you don't know.
And that's the most
It,
frustrating thing as a newbie is not
mm,
knowing what things are called. So you go down this path and you're chasing the wrong dragon and you end up fixing a problem that you never had, which can come back to bite you later in the future.
yeah. There's so many variables in 3D printing. It's very easy for new people to get overwhelmed with
And sidetracked.
uh well, it was like one we just had a customer who came to us with what looked like super rough soft like top surfaces, and I was pretty much certain it was flow rate. Like they were just pushing too much material. It was 100% solid part, and it's all flow rate. I'm like, okay, let's do flow rate calibration. And we spent dozens of emails going backward and forward for flow rate calibration. It wasn't. It was bed level. It was just because it was solid, the bed level was pushing that
It was
extra little
pushing the
bit of material
problem.
through the entire part.
Yep.
So you saw something, and if this was a regular person and they only had Google and they didn't have access to anyone via email, they would have just gone rough top surface. They would never have understood it was the first layer that was causing the issue, not any of the subsequent layers. And that is something that you can't really teach somebody via Google because they're just going to look at the top surface where they see the problem and not realize the problem is a hidden aspect somewhere earlier in the line, which they actually needed to Google, but they didn't have the knowledge to know what it was. The thing that tipped me off that it was the first layer was they showed the back of one of the parts and I couldn't see any layer lines. It was perfectly smooth. And I'm like, oh, you were way too low. And what also made it harder was they had a little chamfer on the bottom. So their elephant's foot looked perfectly flat.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, it's not that. And then I looked in just the right light and it's like, it's the first layer.
Yeah.
It's such a simple fix. That is like a 5-minute fix. And
That you
all
spent
of this
how many hours going back and forth on. I mean, it
days,
yeah.
actual days of just instant responses going backward and forward just for it to be like, oh yeah, it's the first layer. It's the first layer.
Yeah, it is so interesting and I think that yeah, especially like as you know, Construct 3D as a small manufacturer, Luke's Lab is in here too, and you know there are others out there. You guys have an opportunity to create like a bona fide manual for using your printers with either video content or photo content that can show some of the more like basic problems that can go wrong and ways to fix them that your users could go to first, right? Similar to how like Prusa and now BAMBU, they both do it, have QR codes that will take you, you know, when there's an issue, it'll take you to a link on the website and that shows you the potential ways to deal with it. There's a lot of opportunity for these smaller manufacturers to not only do that, but to go the next step further and have videos or other content associated with it to help your customers because bigger companies can afford to have technical support departments. Smaller companies can't. And it ends up being the owners or an engineer or someone whose time can be easily better spent doing other things. And you know, we run into these problems of if you're spending your time dealing with your customers because they don't know, right? Who do you look at and say who's at fault? Is it the customer or is it you? I would argue that most of the time it's the business themselves doing a poor job of educating the customer. And I think that BAMBU specifically does not do a good job of it. And for as
Oh
big of
no,
a
they do a
company,
horrendous job because their
well,
machine is so good.
and for as big of a
They
company
they
as they
realize
are,
they don't need to.
but as for as big of a company as they are, they could further own the industry by building an education system out
Oh yeah.
there for people.
They had
So,
every opportunity to have a you see this and this is the solution like video website. Hell, they could have just had an intern on YouTube making semi-mediocre videos just on every
dude,
problem coming
even
because
better,
they're at that size.
pay a content creator.
Yeah.
Pay a content creator. Pay someone who's already set up to film the videos in high resolution, high detail.
Mm.
Pay a native English speaker to, whether it is the content creator or somebody else to do the voiceover. Pay native speakers in all the major languages that you will deal with to do native voiceovers. Don't dub it. Don't do subtitles. Pay to have the voiceovers done. And you will build such a better community of people.
Yep.
That literally, this is why we started our YouTube channel. We kept getting the same questions over and over and over again, like, how does 3D printing work? How is it different than injection molding? We started our YouTube channel and this podcast 230 episodes ago as a 10-episode show to solve the 10 most basic questions that we get asked. So that when somebody asks the question, they normally ask it in email or they ask it over the phone, say, hey, we have a YouTube channel. You can go check it out. Here's the video that will specifically answer your question. If you have any further questions about it, please reach back out to us. And now what we've done is we've taken a 30+ minute conversation, 30+ minutes, condensed it to 15 seconds, and we've given the person their entire ability to learn on their own. If they actively choose not to learn on their own, then they're not a customer of ours. They can go be a customer of somebody else's, right? This is a two-way street. If you want to learn information, you have to be willing to also go down the path. In my personal business, like in 3D Musketeers as a business, that is what we require. Because if we're going to invest time into you, and you want to know how it's done, you must now invest time into us to understand how it happens. And I think that's totally fair. Pez Liz is in here, and Liz, I think, has one of the better ears to the consumer industry than most do. She's very active in the communities, and so, you know, when she says things, I take it very seriously. She said, I'm paraphrasing because it was higher up, but one of the big things that you can do is empower people, right? You educate them and empower them, and that is literally two of the pillars of our YouTube channel. Literally two of the three. The third one is create, right? We do this because we want to educate people and we want to empower people to get out and do something.
Yeah.
Right? Because if all you're doing is consuming content, you're still confused, you don't know what's going on, and you're not empowered, then the content has no value to it. I believe that part of this system is empowering people to problem solve on their own. That's why Print Fix Friday is the way that it is, and it is also why I want to change it. Because I believe that going through that whole journey will empower people to not just search for the answer, but search for how to find the answer more specifically. Because if you know that it's a clogged nozzle and you know the solution is to replace the nozzle, but then you just throw the nozzle away, you're literally leaving money on the table. You could fix that nozzle 90% of the time.
Yeah, it's like when I was doing software engineering at university, the first year was all what we like to lovingly call Google fu. How to actually use Google to find the answers. Because a lot of the time in software engineering, now this is one of the things that's very different from regular engineering.
All level
you
one
are
tech
not
support,
actually
all level one tech support is just they're better at Googling than you are.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Like software engineering is actually closer to art as an art instead of a engineering discipline, because you're not actually supposed to know anything you're doing. You're supposed to know concepts of what you're doing so you can then Google it to find out how you actually do it. It's almost like you become a yellow pages of how to Google. And that's pretty much all they teach you over. So I did 5 years. All of that was condensed into I know how to Google the documentation so I can find what I'm actually looking for. Not do I remember what I'm supposed to be doing or what processes I'm supposed to be doing, because all of it's already written out. And it's the same with 3D printing.
Yep.
If you don't know what to Google, if you don't know how to search it, if you don't know what words to use to identify the problem you're having, you'll never find it.
Yep.
And that is the biggest tool in the library, is if we can teach people how to search and teach people how to filter, they would be able to find their problems so much easier with better terminology and just get back to printing faster instead of getting frustrated that they Google something and no results show up. Trust me, that happened a lot as well.
I'm going to be really vulnerable here because I think that this is valuable. We're like 2 hours deep into the show, so if I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable, this is probably the right time to do it. I feel like as a content creator, specifically at Printfix Friday, that I'm failing. That I'm failing to reach the market of people that need that content. And it's why we're like, how can we change it to hit those new people? How can we get it in front of the new people and help them learn and understand what is there? And like, I sit here and say, I legitimately don't know. I can try posting it to Reddit. I can try posting it everywhere. But at the same time, the vast majority of people are like, oh, he's just a sleazy salesman that's trying to pump his numbers, right? You know, we are at almost 51,000 CTA of like and subscribe, I guess. And, you know, dude, I like our freaking Bondtech video. I loved that video. We spent a ton of time
it's
working
probably
on
the
it.
best edited video we've had in
dude,
a hot minute.
You and I alone have 20 hours in that video, and those are volunteer hours. Neither of us are getting paid for that. And just going through it, really making sure it's right over and over and over again. And that video is like stalling out at 5,700 views. And it's like, what the hell? And then someone earlier today made a comment that like really, it hit me the wrong way. I replied as being a little cheeky. They're like 3 minutes in and I can't deal with all of the extraneous talking. Too bad the topic is cool. And I said, so you can't deal with people talking about what is happening. Cool. You can mute it, I guess. Like, it upsets me because like, what do you want? Like, do you want me just to put a camera in front of somebody and say, here, you talk? Like, I'm explaining it in a way that people will understand it. No offense to engineers, but often engineers suck at explaining things.
No, engineers do suck. As an engineer, we suck at explaining.
It's just
like there is a reason this podcast becomes a food podcast, because we are bad at explaining. You need somebody to filter to do it, but then you get comments like that make you question yourself.
Well, it's like, what the hell? Like, you don't even want to know how long that was a 45-minute video. Raw? That video was 45 minutes long. We cut out 20 minutes of extra nonsense talking that we believe didn't have any value to the main video itself. And I would have loved to put out videos that long. Like, you know who I love watching? Freaking A-Bomb79. I love watching like Blondie Hacks, channels, Nile Red and Nile Blue. They are so long format. I will sit in silence for an hour watching Nile Blue, Nile Red, Nigel, whatever you want to say, take and
tell me you have ADHD without telling me you have ADHD.
Concentrate Red Bull, a drink that I've never had, never will have, don't care. Jason ClickSpring, abso-freaking-lutely. Oh my god, yes, ClickSpring, especially because like I love clocks. And when we see comments like this, I'm like, why do I even bother doing this anymore? Like, it's so frustrating. It's like, you can't make everybody happy, but I want to reach the people that need this shit the most. Like with PrintFix, we literally have a saying of Grant, shut the F up, right? If what I'm talking about is even mildly tangential from the actual subject that we are discussing on PrintFix, we cut it. We cut it.
Yep.
Last week's PrintFix Friday, or Friday's PrintFix Friday, let me see how long that video was. That video was 18 minutes and 10 seconds. I believe its raw recording was like 32 or 33 minutes.
Yep. It was quite aggressively cut down.
And I still think that's too long of a video.
Mm.
But it doesn't tell a journey. It's solving problems and teaching you how to do it. But it's like nobody... And Lost in Tech's another creator. It's like, dude, I don't understand like what we're doing wrong. Because I believe that we're creating good content here. I believe that we're creating good, long-term, valuable content. And we're not hitting that market. And it's like, do you really just want me to yell into the camera all the time? Like, I know that if I rant about any 3D printer company, regardless of who it is, obviously if it's Bamboo, it will do better. But I know if the Cuban in me comes out and I yell at a 3D printer company, it's a 25,000 view video. This is a business. I am motivated to make money on this. I love doing it, right? We love doing this podcast. Both Jacob and I do this for no cost. We don't make any money on this. This is why we're seeking sponsors, like, please and thank you.
Literally yesterday, you just sent me a message going, hey, I've got a quick question. And I came on for like 5 hours.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you just being like, yeah, let's talk about video editing for 5 hours.
And my question was much more simple than that. And it's like...
It was literally, how do you check the color space of a video?
Yeah.
Like a 2-second click this button, it's done. And I'm there like, I'm in. Let's get going.
In the defense of everything that we've been saying, I could have Googled.
Yes, but
I didn't.
I'm faster than Google and you have me on speed dial.
I have the guy that knows how to do it. And I will learn a lot more from you showing me how to do it than from me trying to Google it myself and finding older videos.
Because I'll give you all the tangents. And I personally, when I was learning, the tangents are the exciting bit because that's where you really learn. It was like, again, software engineering. I was learning how to move data around.
Yeah.
And then the lecturer assistant, because I became really good friends with the lecturer assistants because they know more than the lecturers half the time. And they were like, cool, here is the thing you need for your module so you can pass. But if you really wanted to make malware, this is the side tangent of how you do it. And it was so cool. It was like, so it was the first time I learned what's called bit splitting, which is literally how Windows draws objects on the screen. And instead of learning the very simple math algorithm they wanted me to learn, they were like, this is why it's used. It's bit splitting. This is how you draw something to the screen. And it was so excitingly interesting. Whereas the solution, which is what Google would have told me, would have just been, here's an answer, and that's it. And my interest would have been over. And that was all of my education. And it's the same with this, is the side tangents in when you teach somebody something.
I think it's
to me is very important because that's where the actual knowledge lies. Knowing, oh, that bit's a bit of grease on the bed, I could have Googled that. But knowing why the grease on the bed stops it working, it gives me the knowledge of how to fix it.
And, you know, it's funny because I took the number of concurrent viewers before I started that rant. It was 209. We're down to 174. So it's very obvious that... I don't know if maybe we're the wrong people are finding our videos or something, or maybe somebody else just started streaming. I don't know. But it's like, as a content creator, it's like, dude, if I want to grow my channel and I want to grow the empire that is what we're doing here and how we want to help people, we literally can't do PrintFix Friday anymore.
Yeah. It's like even going to like the Bondtech video. Well, you obviously knew how much time I spent on that Bondtech video.
Oh my God.
I was guaranteeing that video would be more viewed than my factory tour. I wanted it to be the best video in the entire 3D Musketeers library, and seeing it stall in what I would call still the best edited video that this channel has ever done. No offense, Andrew. But this video is the best. It has the best camera work. It has the best story. It has the best people involved. It has the best B-roll. We had like 2 hours of B-roll.
There's so much
which we cut down. There is so much B-roll. You have no idea. And seeing it stall on an interesting topic with an interesting host, and then obviously you're there. I didn't class you as the host. I meant Gustav
Yeah,
as the host.
yeah, it's fine.
That sort of stuff is so super interesting. And seeing it stall when if it was any other creator, it would have flourished, actually is a really big kick in the teeth.
Dude,
Because I
it's
wanted that to be a
heartbreaking.
30 to 50,000 view video.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be the peak of this channel for like a year to come.
And like
And it's just stuck there.
I know that part of it is we didn't get it out fast enough, right? We were the last, so there were 4 creators that went. It was 3D Musketeers, 4 of us in 3D Musketeers that went. Alan Mandic, Vector 3D, Canuck Creator, right? We were the last ones to get our video out. And while ours is not performing the worst out of the 4 that are up, ours is the last to be public. And that means that a lot of people have gotten their fix already. And as a creator, it's like, okay, so does the industry want fast content or do they want good content? Like, I can't give you both. I don't have the money
Like
for
some of the
that.
shots we had are
Oh
the
my God.
first of that entire factory. Like we had cameras in the
In
machines. We
machines.
were willing to write off cameras. Like if they got hit by the machine, they're gone. And
Yep.
we were happy to do it because that shot for 6
Yep.
extra seconds in the video is so interesting and so nice to have.
We risked over $1,000 worth of camera gear to like to get those shots. And it's frustrating, but I could sit here and bitch about the things that we're clearly not doing right, but I also don't think we're doing it wrong.
Yeah, like I still stand by ignoring the views on that video. It's still the best video.
Yeah.
It is by
Lawson,
far the most engaging, the most interesting. That video is the best. Ignoring the metrics.
I
It's the
think it
one
is.
that
Yeah.
I am the most proud of. It's probably the best content I personally have ever recorded.
It is the
And
video
then
I am the second most proud of that we've ever created.
what did Lost in Tech say?
Oh, he said you need a longer lens because he's known
Hey,
for
I
his
already
like
had 100 mil.
no, he's known for like his probe lens shots that he does where you can see like inside
Okay,
of the
those
nozzles
probe
and
lenses
stuff.
are amazing.
Um,
I've got a cheap probe lens.
I
It's
don't have
not a
any of
probe
that
lens.
crap.
It's 100 mil 2 times macro. It's huge, but because it's 100 mil, you can just like get really far away, and it's a fake probe lens.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of money, and traveling with that is just complicated. But um, you know, we thought that that video was going to be like our best video, and I don't think anything will ever beat my interview with Sanjay for me, but that's more of a personal thing. Like the interview with Sanjay is still the most near and dear video that we've ever filmed because at the time we didn't know it, but it became one of the more significant videos that we've ever filmed. You know, I sit here and say we did a lot on that, and I'm like, I'm just bummed because I feel like we produced a video that we all like, but for some reason the community doesn't, and it's like, damn it, man. It's frustrating, and it's funny because like, you know, we look at like this leak, right? The H2D leak, or not H2D, the X2 Pro leak. $10. $10 says this is deliberate, right? Because Allison said, can't you somehow put teasers out? That's harder than you think. As we look to modify how we're editing videos potentially, but right now, the current editing style isn't suited for that, unfortunately. But
We are looking at jigging things up, but the current style, it does not match
correct
that type of content.
Hence why we're looking to hire more team members, right? We want more people, which I know is obviously like, oh, you have too many cooks in the kitchen. Could be. But you know, I'd rather have too many
This is
cooks
the shotgun
than not
approach.
enough.
Throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
No. This
and
isn't.
Something will stick.
We're adding shooters to the line, right? We're not using like high powered rifles with big scopes or anything. We're still on iron sights. We haven't figured out what scopes that we want yet, but we're getting there. And you know, I will say that like leaks like this, I think would be amazing if we could do something like it. Because if you think that this leak isn't deliberate, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. This X2 Pro, whatever you want to call it, leak, it's deliberate. It's the same strategy that Apple does. It's the same damn strategy. Steve went live 2 hours ago. So I know it wasn't Steve. Steve went live, an hour ago. Sorry, Steve went live an hour ago. So the drop had nothing to do with when Steve went live. But it is deliberate because things like this happen. This show, we actually didn't have anything else to talk about, so it kind of worked.
It's been a slow news week.
It has been a slow news week. I had something food related, but oh well. I forget it now. But, BAMBU is smart about this. If there's one thing that I think that BAMBU has done that separates them from everybody else in this industry is that they actually know how to market.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've seen BAMBU ads in so many random places.
They advertise directly on our channel, and I think it's hilarious. Almost always I will, even when I'm incognito, and when I'm in other countries, and I watch our videos, I will get BAMBU ads. It's very funny. DirectT3CH says, I make my teasers after the main video is filmed. It's hard to know what to tease if you haven't created it yet. Yeah. Totally agree. Yusuf with the mad 50 says, I'm sure it was you. Yeah, I'm sure it was too. I'm sure it was too. But thank you, sir. We sit here and say, how can we do right into the people that are going to enter this industry? And part of me wants to get this newest BAMBU, buy it, because they're not going to send me one. We all know this. Buy it, do videos on how to fix failures on it. And then, we could, but they're such one-trick pony videos, and that's why I prefer to do Print Fix Friday instead.
Yeah. Evergreen content is what most YouTubers aim for.
Yeah.
It was something that David Tobin taught me, because when we were doing the Kickstarter video, initially I just wanted it to be an advert for the Kickstarter, and they could plug the Kickstarter and really drive money to the Kickstarter, because that's what we needed. And he sat me down, and it was a really short conversation, but it was so poignant and it was so well put together. I understood it instantly, which is that video will be out of date in 30 days if you did that. If that, the moment the Kickstarter ends, you can't use that video anymore because it's out of date. It's too aimed at what that is. It's not aimed at just the machine. It's not aimed at what you can do with the machine. It's just sales. And the evergreen side is what we ended up doing. And David is 100% right. And I instantly let him because he actually knows what he's doing, which was evergreen content.
Yep.
Do a project with the printer to show this was made possible with this machine. It doesn't matter when you see that video, it's still true.
Yep.
Versus a Kickstarter video, which is timed. So it's the same with those BAMBU videos, is they're one and done. They aren't really evergreen. They are just... You showed a video of a bed level. That is it. They watch it once and it is done. There is no incentive at all to even go there unless there is a problem.
Our X1 Carbon 6-month review is more evergreen because it's me talking about my experience. And it's also one of the only videos about BAMBU that does not talk about it in a, perfect, shining light kind of thing that most people expect. VAT Engineering said slow week. HFPLA is finally shipping from Polymaker. Polar Filament's coming out with a new filament in colors. Various sales popping off, etc. So we can't really talk about the HTPLA because we know nothing about it. Okay, cool.
Gut feel, don't even think it's PLA. They just slapped the PLA logo on it.
It's PLA that can handle high temperatures. We don't know about the mixture. We don't know what they've put in it to make it high temp. That's a 5-minute segment at best. Polar Filament with their new colors, similar. Love it.
Fair,
right?
You did an interview which will be coming out shortly on the channel.
Mitch has been a guest here. Mitch has been on the podcast.
with Mitch. And so there is going to be a video about their plans and
Yeah.
then new materials soon. So obviously
Yeah,
stay
and
subscribed if you want to see that.
a lot of the sales that we see right now are more, especially in the States, they're tariff based, right? So Bamboo's putting their machines on sale, but it's because the tariffs are on pause, or maybe they're not. I don't know what's happened recently, but all the sales, like I'm subscribed to a bunch of different like solar companies that sell solar panels to consumers. They're like, oh, everything's on sale. I'm like, it's not on sale. You're just lowering your prices again because you're not paying the tariffs anymore. So SoundSpark says, speaking of Polar Finland, have you heard of their new Retro Platinum PLA? Yes, I have.
Yes.
In fact, we knew about it at Rocky Mountain because we talked about it at Rocky Mountain. So yes, I have. We're actually trying to get up there at some point. We got to go film with them on how to make PHA, which would be cool. But yeah, there is some struggle with the marketing side of things, right? What's on Kickstarter right now? The Reba Point Track It is there. The SV08 Max, which we covered last week. Yeah. So, there's not too much going on this particular week, and that's okay. I think that this leak presents a unique opportunity for us to make some guesses, and since now we're taking notes for everything, when it is announced, we can come back and look at it and say, how close were we? We were very off on the H2D.
We were so off on the H2D.
So off. But
I still stand by our initial statements. They could have done that.
They probably should have.
But holy shit, we were off.
Yeah,
it was half the price we thought it was.
Yeah. And look, if that build volume's correct, the 360 by 335 by 340, woo!
It's huge.
That's a big mamma jamma. I mean, that's a big printer. And if it is like that, it has to be lower than an XL. If it's not lower than an XL, it's going to have problems. Well, if it's not cheaper than an XL, it's going to be more expensive than the H2D, which it's not going to be. That's powerful. And like people like Karen, she was in here earlier. Damn it, it's Karen. I'd be curious if she would say, oh, I would rather have this X2 Pro with an AMS over an H2D. It's like, this is the kind of stuff that makes me curious. Are people that are buying the H2Ds more interested in a larger Bamboo, or are they interested in the dual extruder side of it?
I do think the H2D has sucked up the larger Bamboo crowd.
I think it has too.
This machine is really what they were asking for. Because this was what they were asking for. They were asking for bigger Bamboo.
Mm-hmm.
And the only bigger Bamboo was the H2D. I legitimately think that.
I have to agree. Because, like, dude, if you standardized on the Bamboo platform, the one thing that you're upset about after looking at other machines on the market, especially the SV08 and the SV08 Max, I want a bigger machine. I want a bigger machine. Like the K2 Plus, right? That's a 350 cube, I think, or something along that range that has an AMS of sorts. Like they just want a bigger machine, and the H2D solved that, but the X2 Pro might solve it better. And I would argue that whatever this new machine is, it will solve it better.
Yes.
Because not only based on information that we cannot confirm, information from a commenter or a chat person that said that they had seen it in person and told us that it's 360 by 335 by 340. That is bigger than an H2D.
Yep.
But you're giving up the dual nozzles, which once you use multi-material, it's like, it's so hard to go back. But I think what we have to do is we have to step back and say, okay, all right, X2 Pro or SV08 with index.
Oh, come on.
See,
come on.
This is a tough one.
Okay,
Or even
I see it
let's
coming down to
go.
two things.
Let's go.
It's only two things. If you want reliability, you go bambulab because it's the closed ecosystem. You're
Yeah,
just guaranteeing it will work. If you want anything else, index. You get
pretty
so much
much.
more from index.
But it's
But
funny.
it's the integration with Soval that I'm more concerned about, not the index side.
Yeah. So let me ignore the fact that I despise Bamboo for their data policies and all of that. If I'm between an H2D and an index on an SV08, I see I have more faith in Bondtech than I do Soval, but Bondtech is solving most of the problems that the SV08 has, which is like its
Yes.
bed leveling sucks, its hot end sucks. The bed can be a little bit iffy from time to time, but with the right sensors, that's not that big of a deal. Like, as a business, I see more value in more tool heads than I do. Like, if we were limiting index to 2 and not 9 that can fit on the regular SV08, that's a much different story.
Yeah.
Would I say as a business that I'd rather have the cheaper machine that I can just replace ad nauseum? Maybe. Would I say that I prefer the confidence that you get with Bamboo? Maybe. But I agree with Luke, tools with an index would suck. Like, there's no reason. If you can fit 4 on a freaking V0, why would you not do at least 4 or 5? Right? It's like, it's so hard to like
Your limitation will be where do you put the filaments when you go that high, not the can we do it, because I will be doing it.
Yeah,
I can promise you that. Like,
where are you gonna
somebody
put
just
9
said
rolls of
construct
filament?
index. It's happening.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that now. It's happening. There's no way you can stop me because that technology has to be used. And it will be used. I've already got the design in my head. It's being written down. Like, it's gonna have its own unique aesthetic to match the index's aesthetic.
But like you said, it is the integration side of it. Even from Construct, right? You're going to find out how difficult this is to integrate. Whether it is easy or not, you're going to find out. But it is the integration side that worries me, right? It's specifically the integration with Soval. But I think because Bondtech is taking that one in-house, like, they're going to handle it, and they're not going to, I assume they're going to handle it, and they're not going to, like, rely on a manufacturer, say, hey, we'd like to be index compatible, can we work with you guys to make it happen? Where now it's the manufacturer who has to do the index integration. I have a little bit more faith in the Soval because that Bondtech themselves have said that is on their short list. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
a hard decision.
It's such a hard decision, right?
It's like, such a hard decision. I don't think you can make a choice because it's so flip-floppy. Like, bambulab have so many good things going for them and just some really sour bad bits.
Yeah.
Where even the good bits actually kind of make up for the bad bits. It's the whole Apple versus Android of if you are an Android person, you really don't like Apple that much. You don't like the closed ecosystem. You don't like the control. You don't like the fact the App Store, you can't sideload.
I don't care for
that. It's very similar.
But I will say, like, as my parents are getting older, unfortunately, and, you know, they're not as tech savvy as they used to be, right? It's hard to keep up with the times as you're getting older. Apple starts to make way more sense because it is just easier to work on from a tech support side because you have less tech support issues. But to the credit of my parents, the whole family runs the same phones because it makes it easier for us to support them. They almost never ask me questions. Now, they might just go straight to my brother, so I don't know. But they almost never ask me questions. So it does work. But I do agree with Lost in Tech, who is saying it needs to be more than just a kit. People don't do kits anymore. I don't even want a kit. I don't mind.
Agree with that.
So I, as a hobbyist, kind of want a kit so I can like, understand it and enjoy it and have some fun. But I can almost
I
promise you
don't
that if you
know.
want an SV08 with an index, you're assembling those two things together. Now, will it
I do
be
think the days of kits are over, and I even stand by it. I think the days of pre-assembled but flat pack printers are over. People want a just plug the screen in and go. Like
it,
assembling a printer in 6 parts because it's flat packed or from the bolts up is really the same decision. It's the do I want to do assembly work to get a printer, not the how much assembly work do I have to do. If you are interested in building your own printer, you don't really care about the complexity. You just
right?
want to
Just
build
go
it.
build a Voron, right? And
And
they're
at that point, Voron shows up and they've got their market segment. They've got their closed wall of Voron, which is the most leaky closed wall you've ever seen because it's open
it's a
source. But
sieve.
it is a wall, it's a walled garden of you want to build a printer, Voron. You don't want to build a printer, bambulab.
Well, and
And that's it.
if you're not certain that you want to build a kit, but maybe you want to dip your toes, Prusa,
Yeah.
right? Build a Prusa kit, because you get the fun of building a kit without the frustration that the lack of documentation or the assumptions that the Voron manual makes. The Prusa manual makes zero assumptions
Mm.
whatsoever. They hold your hand through the whole thing, and that's like why I love Prusa kits, because they're fun. Like for me,
Yep.
that's fun. And I agree with Lucky 13 Toys Gabe Sousaphone there saying, I like a hardware kit, but my eyes glaze over as soon as I have to touch software. 100% I agree,
Yep.
because I know that as a hardware kit, even if I do something wrong, it's not going to catastrophically destroy the machine outside of shorting wires to ground and blowing an octopus board. But that's electrical, to be clear. On the software side, dude, you make one wrong thing in Clipper and it just gets pissed off at you.
Oh yeah.
And if you're not able to figure it out, you can sit there and pound your head against the wall of why is this not working? And I will tell you, doing it live makes it even more frustrating. But
Like
like,
I spent almost an
oh my
entire
gosh.
month trying to load Clipper onto a Duet board. Both companies, like obviously Voron isn't a company, but the community of Voron and the company of Duet who makes the motherboard said, yes, you can load Clipper onto them. You just got to follow the instructions. It was the worst experience I've ever had. Trying to find documentation on the Voron side is a joke. I'm saying it now. It's a joke. It is so badly written with way too many assumptions. And like, for example, if I'm trying to load Clipper for the first time, I had to jump between 4 separate web pages, not in the same domain, different domains, because they just missed stuff. They were like, oh, if you want to do this, go to this page. I'm like, that's not even related to what I'm doing, but you have to do it now. It's just so poorly written, and it's because of that I don't ever really like. I don't like kits. Like kits are fun, but it that market has gone.
Yep.
The maker market of let's make your printer is gone because it's moved to let's make the stuff, not make
Yeah.
the stuff that
Let's
makes the stuff.
pull it out of the box, slap it on the counter. This bad boy can fit so many 3D prints and then, send it.
Go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Like I didn't back, and I'm not going to back the Sovol SV08 Max. If Sovol wants to send us one, that's fine. But like I have valid reason to have a machine that large. I don't want to build it. Because I recognize that if you don't torque everything down right, she'll wiggle just a little bit, and dude, you'll
Mm.
spend hours trying to figure that out why. Um,
Luke's just put in that he wrote a guide for the Duet 3 back in 2022. While your guide is out of date for the modern way of Clipper, yours was the only one that got me even close to being able to implement it. And this was reading all of the official forums and everything and asking. Yours was the only one, even though it was out of date, that got me close, even in the ballpark.
yeah.
Also, it was for the I was doing on the Duet 2 because old hardware, modern MCU makes it a lot better. Doing it on the Duet 3 is just too easy, obviously. Ugh, I love it when it's hard. Don't clip that. Um, he's doing it.
Literally, you tell me
But
not to clip it. I'm
yeah.
clicking the clipping button just so you're aware. Uh,
Oh, but no,
oh,
like, yeah,
duet
thank you,
two,
Luke.
he
I didn't
says.
realize that was you.
um, yeah, like I've built my own custom printers for years. Like that was the only option was to build your own custom printer. Um, but yeah,
Mm.
you know what?
Hell, I started Construct 3D because there wasn't a good open the box press print printer. And I stand by
That
that.
was
Like at
business
the time,
class.
the just in general, I used
Hmm.
all. I used everything from the 99 pounders to the industrial. None of them were good. Like Stratasys, awful. Their print quality had ringing artifacts in their most expensive machine. The Ultimakers, the bed leveling didn't
Mhm.
exist. It was a bed leveling sentence that didn't do bed leveling. The thing that really pushed me over the edge was I had a Prusa Mark III that was the best printer I had, but it had the same faults as an Ender 4. And I was just there like, the Ender 4 was marketed as a Core XY. It's a HBot. They couldn't even get that right. And it had backlash. And that was really what pushed me over the edge was if nobody's going to make the best of the current hardware, somebody has to. And that's really where my very first machine design came from was I just want to print. I don't want to piss around with fixes or jank bodges to get something working. I just want to open a box, put a machine down, put the SD card in and press print. And that was it. That's really where it started.
It's funny
And if
because your origin story is so similar to Bontex of the nobody made a good extruder, so we just decided to make the gears ourselves. You're like, nobody made a 3D printer that ticked all the boxes for me, so I decided to make one myself. Like, that is that's literally I think it's some of the best origin stories that this industry gets
mm,
because they're driven because of dedicated reasons. And unfortunately, that does mean that your prices will be higher. And we look at Bamboo, maybe the X1 Carbon was for that. They claim it was. I don't know how much I believe it anymore. But I think all their future machines have been in the pursuit of money, in the pursuit
oh yeah,
of domination, in the pursuit of market totality,
yeah.
which
I
okay
wouldn't even
is
class in my head BambuLab as a 3D printer company anymore.
what are
They're
they?
just a company. I just class them as a company that just so happens to work in the 3D printing sector
Well, they have to have a
because their
specific thing.
decisions aren't maker. They're not, I wanted to make a better this or we needed to improve this. It does feel very, let's sell something to
I know
earn
what they
money, and
are.
they just so happen to pick 3D print. Go on. What are
They're
they?
a data company that makes hardware. Bamboo's a data company that
On the
makes hardware.
nose. There you go. It's exactly that.
And I will argue the fact that if they weren't, then why are they closing it down so much?
Yeah,
You know,
just
why
straight
why
up.
would they be closing it down so much if they weren't a data company that is in the hardware business for 3D printing? Like,
I mean, I already mentally classed Bamboo Lab as just a DJI offsuit. Like, even though
because
that they
that's what
are
they are.
separate companies, it is a DJI
That's what they are.
like branch company.
Yes.
They started with it, they brought it off, they probably share so many like communication lines, and the way that they do business is very similar. And it's because of that, I just probably never mentally classified them as a 3D printer company because they lack the spark. Like Bontech has the spark. They
Oh
want
my
to
god,
make the
yes.
best extruders. E3D has the spark. They wanted to make nozzles. Like
Prusa.
they realized there was no option. They made it. Prusa, perfect example of
Prusa
having the spark.
still has it at 1,000
When they were
employees strong.
selling machines in pizza boxes and parts from that, you knew that they were doing it for a reason.
Yep.
And they've done
Yep.
it with every machine they've sold since. Is there is the spark of why they are doing it baked into the product. I don't feel it from Bamboo Lab. I just
You
don't.
know,
I just feel more corporate clinicalness from them.
I see it in some places. So like the Vector 3D teardown of the specifically the extruder area, I'm like, ooh, I can feel an engineer who's watching this video who is very proud of what Adam is saying right now.
Yes, I could
Like
feel that.
I can feel individual people being proud of the engineering that Adam found.
Mm.
But they're selling a box with all the cool stuff hidden. Like Big Tree Tech, I don't know if Luke is listening or if he's following along this deep, but if you are, brother, you better make a fully clear injection molded covers for the H2D, because like I just want to see the stuff, man. I'm a turbo nerd for this, and like it's such a shame that Bamboo hides that engineering, and I would love, and I know I'm not alone. I would love to see more of it out there, because
Oh yeah.
I think it shows kind of what a lot of us want them to be known for, which is their engineering, and shows less of their marketing, which is hiding the engineering, making the pretty box pretty.
Yeah.
Let me hit the billing department for the last time in this episode, and we'll see where it takes us. But huge thank you to our sponsors, Construct 3D and Printed Solid. Thank you both for supporting the channel. Construct 3D for the UK's fastest 3D printers, the first Bamboo 3D printer. You can check them out at construct-3d.com. These are business class machines designed to work in industrial environments. So if you're looking at machines like Stratasys, Big Rep, and machines like that, and you're like, these really don't fit the bill, or I'm really just not looking to spend 40 grand on a 3D printer, you can hit up construct-3d.com and they'll help you get the right machine for your use case. Coming soon, the Construct 2, enclosed and fully chamber heated and controlled, which I'm very, very excited about. Huge thank you to Printed Solid for sponsoring the filament giveaway that we do here on the channel. You can enter to win via the pin chat message to win some awesome made in the USA filament. If you do happen to win and you are outside of the United States, your options will be to either, one, get a shirt, give you a shirt for free, which you can get shop.3dmusketeers.com, or two, we will donate the effective amount to the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation in your name, if that is your preference as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, join memberships, support the channel, all the fun things that people like to say. And after the show, we will be hanging out a little bit. I got to call my parents when we're done, but we'll be hanging out there for a bit. I guess they're in the area, so I'm going to try to get together with them for dinner maybe. But, definitely go check out the Discord if you want to see more behind-the-scenes stuff, see videos before they go live, and be able to hang out with myself, Jacob, and the entire 3D Musketeers team. You better, I know. Oh, sorry, that's Humble Deer and Doug talking. So yeah, please, 104 likes, 175 people watching. You guys know where to click. But, I'll be very interested if they cut the X1 for the X2.
Yeah. I can't say it's short-sighted, but I do think it is on the chopping block. Like the X1 series, or at least the carbon version of the X1 CC, it's useless. Like there's no reason for carbon. It's just the complexity for the sake of complexity. But yeah, like I think it is in risk. Like, especially if the price of the X2 is so close to the X1, it does become a bit of a nothing burger, where in reality you want the P1 and then the X2.
I hate that word so much.
What, a nothing burger?
Yes, it's been politicized in the United States. I just hate that word. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah, it's been politicized. But
God damn it, America.
Yeah, we ruin all the fun. Kenneth Davis said he signed up twice by accident. I haven't received a link. You definitely did. I'm pretty certain I emailed you. All right. Email me again. Just youtube@3dmusketeers.com. We'll take care of the fact that you signed up twice. Get one of those refunded and get you into the Discord. But I'm fairly certain I got you in there. youtube@3dmusketeers.com. Yeah, Lost in Texas, I'm behind the band on Nothing Burger. Yeah, it's rough here.
Guys, you need to find me a new word now for that. Because if I can't use that, I love that word.
Yeah.
Just
all right.
You need to find me a replacement now.
Blame it on the current political system in the United States.
God damn it. Funny orange man ruining my words.
Hey, we don't get political.
They ruined my word. Nothing burger. It's so funny.
Well, too bad. Yeah,
Fine, I'm gonna put so much sawdust in your Rice Krispies, you'll never know.
Well, they're American Rice Krispies, so they probably taste like sawdust anyways. Dreams Void said disappointment sandwich. You know what? I would
I kind of like that.
I think I would I think I would back disappointment sandwich over nothing burger. But yeah, you know what? I'll back it. I'll back it. Um I have to agree though. You know, I what I'm curious about is people that have standardized their print farms on the X1 Carbon series. Although I think a lot of them have probably moved over to the P series, but the X1 Carbon series, you know, do they like what do they do? Because like
Mm,
from a business standpoint, it is good to standardize on one machine. If you're going to upgrade, you upgrade all of them, right? So,
yeah.
like in reality, if you standardize on a 256 build plate of an X1 Carbon or an X1E, I don't really care, P1S, P1P, whatever, how do you handle this new X2 Pro
I don't know.
if they stop selling the X1 Carbon?
Well, thankfully, there's enough of like X1 compatible parts thanks to the other like Triangle Lab and Mellow and Big Tree Tech. Like, there's enough like clones out there to keep support going,
I'm not even worried
but
about
the
that.
the
I'm not.
complexity is really in my eyes like the build volume difference, the nozzle difference. It's almost like going from an X series to an A series where suddenly it's all different
Yeah,
and
it's
there's not a
now
lot of like compatibility between them.
yeah, it's now like now you have to like invest in a new ecosystem and like all of this like maybe you had so like I don't know, I don't run a bamboo print farm, right? So like I feel like people that run bamboo farms have also like gone through the different bamboo machines, right? So like they have
Actually, I have noticed that
because
like
like they're
anyone who
all
has like an X1 series print farm also seems to at the same time have a P1 series print
or
farm.
an A series print farm because they're the same damn build plates.
Yeah.
But even see the thing with the X1 and the P1 is that they use the same hot ends. The electronics are different. So they have different connectors, but
Yeah.
the hot ends are interchangeable between them. The A series and the H2D are kind of interchangeable, but not really. You can take is it A to H2D and not the other way around? I think.
No idea.
I don't think the high flow works on the
No, I
A
think it's
series.
H2D to A. I think it's the H2D is longer, so it still works on the A, but the A is shorter, so it doesn't work on the H.
Whatever it is. Um, I'll be curious to see if these end up replacing X1s. I mean, I think it should. Like, ultimately, if this is everything that an X or P series is, and it's only a couple $100 more than an X1, then there is, outside of wanting X1 Plus, right? There is
Yep.
basically no reason to get the X1 Carbon anymore. And
Yeah.
it's funny, like, Lost in Tech's right, the X1 is pretty old, but it is still considered the de facto standard of what you compare 3D printers to. It used to be
Yep.
the Prusa Mark III, and now it's the X1 Carbon. Like, how does X Machine stand up against the X1 Carbon? Like, how does the Centauri Carbon, couldn't have gone with a different name, Elegoo. How does Centauri Carbon handle the X1 Carbon? You know, would I rather have, you know, 3 Centauri Carbons or 1 X1 Carbon? That's the answers. There's a lot going on, man. There really is. I'm just not certain. I'm not certain where they're gonna be. Like, I'm second guessing everything because of how wrong we were with the
Yeah.
H2D. Like, I'm second guessing all
We were
these
so off
pricings.
base
Oh my god, we
that
were so off
I,
base.
I've I've only ever been off base so badly once before. And that was when I was literally talking to a military contractor about the advancement of AI and how long it will take to get to the level they need. And literally within a week of me telling them that chatbots aren't going to be good enough for like 2 to 3 more years, GPT-3 launched within a week. I'm like, well, just show me up, which is really funny because my background was in AI. So I should have known better. But
Yeah.
I think that did take the market by storm. And it that was the other time I've been off by so much. I feel the same with it now, though. I feel the warning symbol of you have no idea where this market will go in the next month. It could be absorbed by all of the people really nicely. Like the X2 can come out there, they could praise it for days, or it could come out and they hate it because it's so close to the X1, or the price is slightly too cheap and it pisses people off, or it's too expensive and it pisses people off. Like, I don't know which way this is going to go, and that does kind of scare me.
I'm curious if it's going to set a new standard or if it's just going to build upon it, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the big thing for me is this going to change 3D printing again, or is this just we put the brand new, Pilot Sport Cup 2s on the car and now we can just do better cornering?
Yeah.
Adam09046 with the £9.99. Thank you very much, sir. Glad to see you here hanging out with us. It does say it's your first super on a live stream, so thank you very much for contributing. Yeah, like, dude, what if they launch this like more affordable than the X1 Carbon?
Every bone in my body's telling me it has to be more expensive.
But every bone in our body was
But
telling us that the
this is Bamboo
H2D,
Lab.
yeah, like I think that the H2D is more affordable than the X1E.
Well, actually, no. Now you say it. Oh my God, Grant, shut up! Stop ruining my mind. Okay, they're reusing, from the looks of it, an A1 series hot end with an A1 series thing that it's an A1 series cross member and it's mostly the frame. Most of their H2D's complexity is the head, which would imply most of the cost is the head. They're getting rid of the head, so they could, in my eyes, probably make it for the same price as an X1, maybe even slightly cheaper. Oh my God, I hate this. I actually hate this. Like, imagine if it was $900. I could see them doing it just to screw over everyone in the industry. Because now all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, I can have a Centauri Carbon or something much bigger for double the price.
Three
Or
times the
triple the
price.
price.
Yeah.
But still, like, you could have. Well,
Yeah,
actually, let me
Luke,
work
that'd be
out the
disgusting if
volume.
it was 900. If Bamboo releases this sub $1,000, it is confirmed that they're making their money doing something else. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And we have to question where they're making their money from at that point. Like, yeah, the whole like 360 by 335 by 340, just geez. Yeah. Luke said if it's less than if it's 1,000 or less, JFC, which I'll let you figure out what that means. We're not repeating it, but yeah, just
So I want to point out
rough.
the X1 just in volume. So let's ignore the improvements to the nozzle. Let's ignore the improvements anywhere else, like the heated chamber or anything,
If
in
it has it.
the H2 or the X2. If it has it, it will be stupid not to be fair. But let's ignore all of those features.
For
Let's
50
just
bucks,
talk
any
about
printer gets a heated chamber, to be clear.
yeah, like let's just talk about effective cost versus volume. Because I really do like now, actually, part of the company's data that I did to justify the prices of our machines was you can plot every machine, their price versus their volume. And you actually get these two lovely, distinct bands where the ones that go vertical, where you get a lot of volume for not a lot of price, they're the budgets. They are the consumer budget grade. And the ones that are very expensive for the volume, they're industrial. And what we saw is Bamboo Lab are towing this middle line. They have made this new line, and we put ourselves on that line. Prusa's Core One is on that line. Their Exile is on that line, and so are all the Centauris now are on that line. All the volume to price is now shifted to this middle, more 45-degree angle. So, what am I getting to? The X1 versus the X2. Do you know how much volumetric size you gain going to the X2?
It's like 3 or 4x, isn't it?
2.4x. So it's almost 3x the size for 3 times the price of a Centauri if it was at 900 to $1,000.
Call it 1,500, so now it's 5 times the price of a Centauri.
That is still disastrously close to the value proposition of a Centauri.
Yep.
That you go, well, it's bigger, I gain more things, and the cost per millimeter is roughly the same.
Now,
And it's from Bambu's quality.
I would argue that more hot ends, more better, right? But if you need build volume, you know, you're kind of there.
You kind of
right.
Like there's only like 3 printers on the market with similar build volumes, which is the Prusa XL, the Construct One XL, and now the H2D, or soon to be the X2.
K2 Plus, SV08.
Oh yeah, K2. Oh, I keep forgetting about them.
I'm trying to think of like, mostly assembled machines that like get you in that in that size
Like
range.
they have to be assembled. Like I wouldn't class them as
the Plus 4 is a little too small at 305 by 305 by 280. Yeah.
I mean, there's the new Phytech, whatever it's called.
It's a kit.
But it is a kit.
Yep. Totally different machine. While Silval is a kit, it's a flat pack kit, and it takes like an hour to put together. Like it's not that
I'd still class those as a kit.
Oh god, the Magneto X. We forgot about the Magneto X.
Yeah, actually,
to be fair, I think
Soriatech's
forgotten about it too. Or P.O. Poly's forgotten about it too.
I think they bit off more than they can chew with the hunting issue for their magnetic motors. Like linear drive motors are expensive for a reason. They've done an incredibly good job.
It's so cool though.
It is. If they can make a second generation where they fix the hunting issue, that would be the go-to motion system for most machines. If they can fix it, which they probably can't, because it's really hard to fix that.
I wouldn't say. I gotta reach out to Mark and see what's going on with that. Yeah, no. If for people are like coming out with like the next name of the Centauri, it'll be the Centauri Carbon Pro. We all know how Elegoo's gonna, or the Centauri Pro. Like Elegoo's gonna copy the naming scheme. It's part and parcel of what they do. But at least
the next one's going to be the Centauri 2 Pro.
At least now Lenovo's going to be happier that when you search X1 Carbon, you'll hopefully find more of the Lenovo laptop that carries the same name and less of a 3D printer. I can't imagine how many people that were looking for an X1 Carbon from Lenovo that found all this crap about 3D printing. They're like, what the hell is this crap? That would just be hilarious to me. But yeah, I think the price is gonna depend on how like kind of excited I am about it. If it is sub $1,000, I will commit right now to buying one.
Like if it's sub $1,000, I think most of the industry is going to take a step back and just go, "Oh God, we can't compete."
Yeah.
Because you can't, like, literally $1,000. A Core 1 costs more.
Well, okay, comparing it to a Core 1's just you're dealing with Chinese manufacturing costs and Prusa manufacturing costs.
But that's what customers care about. They don't care about where it comes from half the time.
I know.
Some companies do, but if you go up to somebody, go, "Hey, what's the build volume of a Core 1?"
I'm looking at my Core 1 and I don't know off the top of my head. It's like 220 by 240 by 250 by 220 by 270.
250, 220, 270.
Yeah, I got it. Let's go. Shill level still activated.
Hey, you have the Prusa Mafia shirt for a reason.
I don't have it handy. Crap.
Okay.
Oh, damn it. I yelled on camera. I'm sorry, Nerman. I probably just woke you up because you're listening to this later. I'm sorry.
You're supposed to know better.
I'm supposed to know better. I'm sorry.
You're a professional YouTuber. You're supposed to know better.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm putting them in now.
It's like 4x.
X2, it's 3x.
3x on the money?
It's 3x. Well, it's 2.76. Now, remember, volumetrically, it's going to logarithmically fall off. So, but still, 2.7x.
It's bigger by 100 millimeters in XY minimum and bigger by 70 millimeters in Z on a Core 1.
If I went up to somebody and I went, "Hey, for the same price, we can double your size."
I'm in.
Have it
Say
as
less.
Out the go machine. Like, you don't even need to explain anything else. Just double your size.
Any gentleman would say I'm in.
And it works.
$1,500 I'm in. Double my size, $1,500 I'm in.
Yeah, like
And and that's when we start our white and blue website, no longer on YouTube.
yes, the Only Motors website.
Yeah,
Only the
yeah.
best stepper motors for you.
OnlyGrantRants.com. Yes, I own that domain. Yes, it works. Yes, you can try it.
But like that, like
No, it doesn't
even
have an
so,
SSL.
I've got a company I work with. They own one of our machines. They predominantly own Prusa machines. Their entire factory has gone from traditional manufacture to over like 180 Prusa machines now,
Yeah.
making these very expensive industrial parts.
Yep.
They've gone over to Prusas. I think even them, who are very diehard European only, no China has to be involved because of the supply chain complexity. They pride themselves on being UK manufacturer as well. I think if I went to them and go, hey, same price, triple the print volume, they'd probably go with it because goodwill with which company you go with only goes so far when your competition is giving you features you cannot get otherwise. Like for now, like I will say now, I will buy a Chinese laser cutter before I buy a European laser cutter. There is no way I'm buying a European laser cutter. They cost 5 times the price for the exact same features. I'm buying a Chinese laser cutter.
I
It's going to
own,
be the same like decision.
like, I've got a red and black Red Sail X700 clone. It's what I got. It's an 80 watt,
Yep.
500 by 700 millimeter CO2 laser that I've had for 8 years now. It's on its second tube, its second power supply. Like, love it. It is often subject to the flat surface law, where it is a little bit problematic. But yeah, I agree. And like manufacturing, when you look at this potential X2 Pro compared to a Core 1, dude, that's so difficult to say there's still reason to buy the Core 1 if they're roughly the same price point. And I did see that we have a little bit of a celebrity in here. We have the largest 3D printing YouTuber, Mars Gizmo. At least last I checked, he was still the largest by a decent margin. But you guys might not know the name behind the channel, but I promise you know the actual videos that Adrian has done. Super cool videos.
3.1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
Just absolutely like love the content.
Yep. Like
absolutely
change the game for short form content in the 3D printing space and taught me more about telling stories than I care to admit from just watching his videos and watching the instructional stuff that he's put out. And I'm also incredibly both envious, jealous, and desire to build similar of his portable filming setup. It's just chef's kiss beautiful for like the inside of his shop. But yeah, GP3D says that's quite sad to hear. Dude, I agree. It is such a, it is tough to hear. It will be even tougher for the companies to realize. And it will be difficult for companies like Prusa, like, God, I mean, hell, let's be real about it. Prusa, Construct 3D, Luke's Lab, all these manufacturers, and you guys are on different levels, right? Prusa, Construct, and Luke. Construct and Luke are on one level, Prusa's on another level, but anybody that is directly trying to compete...
It's almost insulting to Prusa to compare them to us, just with how big the size difference is.
It's almost insulting to compare Prusa to BAMBU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Luke says I'm on the lowest tier by far, but see, Luke, you're doing the same thing that I'm doing, except I'm doing it on a service side, you're doing it on a manufacturing side, you're low volume, high margin. So you make good money on the machines when you sell them, but you just don't sell them often. But that's the deal. You're not trying, you don't want to build manufacturing of 3D printers. It is so much extra effort. And
it is.
Again, technical support alone will do it. Do you believe, though, that this new machine, which we're going to coin the X2 Pro, do we believe that this new machine is going to bring more people into the industry? Or do you believe that it is more focused at the, like, print farmer?
I don't think it's aimed at either, personally. So I don't think it's going to bring anyone new to the industry more than they already are. Because that's what the A1 series is for. The A1 is the welcome to the industry printer. And then the P1 is the welcome to the square printer group. Whereas the H series and the X2 series are more of the you're already in this and now you have a reason to buy bigger and better. It could be for the professional hobbyist, it could be for the print farmer. My gut feel is it's probably more of an internal conversion instead of bringing new people in. I don't see it bringing, let's say, an architect. I don't see an architect going to go, "Ooh, I can get an X2 Pro," when the P1 series exists, because they're either printing huge
Or
or
small.
small.
Yeah, there's
There's
no in
no
between
middle
for
ground with them.
architecture. Yeah, there's no in between.
There's no middle ground.
It's so true. The
And
architecture parts
because
we've
of that,
done.
I don't think they're gonna be enticed with the X2 or the H2D. Most people who bought a H2D or an X2 already own a printer. They already know what they want. They either want bigger for a bigger project, or they just want a new machine, and it just so happened that was there. Like, it's not a new person. So I don't think it's going to convert. As in, like, bring in new people. I think it's going to convert local to the industry into more of their ecosystem.
I just saw this, and so I'm going to go off topic real quick. Marxism said, "Thanks so much. Your podcast is my favorite one." Well, dude, if you ever want to come on as a guest, you're always welcome. Sundays, I believe, would be like 5 or 6 p.m. your time local. So we've been going for a little over 3 hours. So, if you ever want to come on as a guest, hit us up. Let me know. Always happy to make that happen for you. I think it'd be a lot of fun because, dude, we could talk about so much on the content side of things, but on the project side of things. And yeah, my brother says open invite. We'll kick Grant off so you can talk to Jacob.
I'd be more than happy to give you my slot. Holy hell, yeah.
Well, there he is with the RON 100 saying, "Let's help Grant and Jacob with a like and subscribe now. They have super valuable advice." Well, thank you, sir. That's tremendous.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
thank you so much.
It's not often we get people that give a damn. But no, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you for the support. I don't know what currency that is. RON. What? Jacob, look that up for me. What currency is that?
I'm doing it. Google ahoy.
Yeah, now I'm curious.
Romanian leu.
Oh,
Romanian leu.
cool. Well, greetings.
That's such a cool name for a currency.
Yeah, that is. Like, crowns are cool, or corna, or things like that are cool. But, yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
He said, "I'd love to, but later on, July probably. I'm traveling and super busy, but we'll make it happen." Hey, man.
Done.
As long as we're scheduled to run that weekend, which pretty much, unless we're traveling as well, we run every Sunday. So, we'll make it work. We'll find a way. Where's the best place to reach you? Or if you want, just email me, YouTube at 3D Musketeers. Romanian Lee. My account is set to my business, which is registered in Romania. I was gonna say, I don't think you're in Romania, but I'm not gonna have people talk about where they're located in the world, right? Like, especially when they're just in the comments. It's like Delaware for Europe.
It's so true. Oh, it's so true.
Oh, wait, is it really? Is that why the damn Tate brothers are spend their time in Romania?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, go figure. Christopher Elliott says, "I may not give a damn, but I can give some cash." You know what? Honestly, I think we're okay with that too. But yeah, if this machine is under 1250 US,
it's gonna be tight. It's gonna shake the bedrock of what is already a very unstable foundation to the industry. Like, bambulab came along and they already shook everything with their price points, and they're doing it again. and they're constantly doing it again. Like now, like let's just take me. Like I can't talk about any other company because in reality I don't know what they do. But let's just talk about me. We have the Construct One XL. It is £3,500, meaning
Hmm.
it's about 4,200 with tax. It is a 325 by 370 by 400, and if
Right.
you're not using Chinese spools, 440Z. It is bigger than the X2,
Yes.
but it will be almost 4 to 3 times the price of an X2.
You are providing a different value proposition, though.
Yes. And while I don't think it's going to affect our customer base and it's going to affect who will end up buying our machines, it is just shaking who would have bought us because of this. It's making it harder. And that is one of those things that is really quite interesting. So they can aggressively take over what will be the industrial market with that printer. The industrial market does not want small machines, they want big machines. They always do. Anything above 300 is industrial in terms of the output. They don't care what the machine does as long as it's bigger than 300. At which point, I bet you I'm going to see in like a couple months' time after it comes out, we're going to be seeing X2s in places where we currently see nothing. Hell, I see loads of X1s in places where you would be
Well,
really
because like
surprised to see.
they're cheap enough that as a business, for the businesses that don't often do additive that could benefit from it, under $3,000 is like a rounding error for a lot of
Yes.
them, right? Like they don't care. They legitimately don't care. So if this machine, like you said, is like sub $1,500, yeah, like they might look at going to that. Like I ultimately say that we're going to see the future of what Bamboo does. And I'm concerned with those businesses that have gotten them, that are doing things that are, either NDA, oh God, I hope it's not ITAR, on the cloud and all of that. And as Bamboo starts to tighten their grip, will we see people saying, nah, fam, I'm done with this. This is too much. Because so far, I think while there's been pushback from the community, we haven't seen a lot of people that currently own Bamboo systems saying that this is too much. I'm not. I'm selling my machines. I'm done. We see a lot of people that were never going to buy a Bamboo saying this is
Mm.
too much, but you already decided too much happened a while ago.
Yeah.
So what it's funny because like the hardware for me is not really the issue here. It's the firmware and the software and what level of control. And
Mm.
again, like we talked about with the uh with like the username UUIDs in the 3MF files. There are valid reasons for some of that. But there's also some legal implications if you're not playing by the rules. So,
Yeah.
at what point does Bamboo start to do more policing in the work, and how does that often affect their specifically business class clientele?
Mm.
Which if it's not obvious to people, the H2D, while it is also kind of positioned toward the I only have room for one machine style maker, it is also very much a business class machine, and it is
Oh yeah.
designed to go after part of that business class environment. Will the X2 Pro push into that, and where do we think that it's going to land? Or is it just going to be another machine on the price ladder of Bamboo? Because if the X2 Pro is, let's say, 1,500 US dollars, is an H2D for that extra nozzle, for that dual extruder, worth it for an extra $500? This is the trick that Bamboo does, and it's
Yeah.
that price ladder
I mean,
of,
they're making a really nice price ladder. It's
yeah,
how Apple gets you to buy something you didn't want to buy.
yep,
It's a good price ladder. every company, once they have a product stack, wants to be producing a price ladder.
It's the thing that I think,
Because if you go, oh, I can for 50 quid more get this, but
yeah,
then for another 50 quid, I can go back and get a much better version of the original. You do that ladder willingly. It's why when like you buy a phone, you never buy the base version of the phone. You always seem to buy one that's slightly better than what you intended. Because it's like, oh, for let's call it $500, I can get an iPhone.
yep.
Well, for 550, I could get the iPhone Plus, like the max size one. So, oh yeah, that's not too bad. Oh, but then for another 50, I go back to the regular iPhone, but it's got more storage. It's got 300 gigs of storage or 500 gigs. Like that's how the price ladder works. It's this non-uniform sidestepping of what you could want. Like getting a bigger phone, brilliant. Getting the same phone but massively improved, also brilliant. And they keep doing that where eventually you will find your actual maximum for what you're willing to pay. And this is also what bambulab are doing. They have now got a product stack where for a few $100 more you get a industrial class printer, whereas the one before it is still industrial class but only has one nozzle. And then for a few $100 less you get it slightly smaller. It's like it's this very incremental, where is your actual limit going? And that is what they're great at.
And so this is where you could say they maintained the X1. They maintained the X1 carbon
Mm.
at, it normally hangs out around the $1,000 mark. I think it's around $1,250 right now just for tariffs. And that might also be the combo. Is that the X1 carbon combo that we have listed at $1,250, or is that just
Yeah.
the X? Okay, that's
No,
the
no,
combo.
no, that's just the base.
Oh,
I
that's the
made sure
base.
there's no
I
combo.
believe the
Yeah,
base has
no
been
combo.
always like 1,000 or 1,100. I could be wrong. I never followed the base because I get the combo. But
So the X1 is 1,000 GBP.
mhm.
So it's a straight 999 GBP.
So let's look at if you maintain it. So you go from P1P to X1. Difference between an X1 and an X2 Pro.
Like $200, $100.
I mean, unless you're space constrained, you'd be stupid not to do it.
Yeah. And that's how
Especially when you
price ladder
consider
works.
it's 5 years of innovation newer, or 4 years of innovation newer.
Mm.
So,
I mean, that type of price ladder preys upon the fact that you
it's the
don't want to
FOMO.
have buyer's remorse. Yeah, you don't want to have buyer's remorse before you even bought the bloody machine. You want to buy the machine and feel good about it. And they're like, well, it's only 200 quid. And I'd feel really bad if I didn't buy this one. That's how they get you.
And son of a gun, it works so well. It's a thing that like
Works every time.
it's a thing that like Prusa doesn't do very well, like at all. Prusa does not do a price
No.
ladder very well. You know, the Mini at 400, then you're over doubling it to get to the Mark 4S. Then it's a little bit more to go to the Core One. That makes more sense from a price ladder perspective. But then the XL is like, you know, it's like an extra 800 US dollars to go to it, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. Do I really need this big of a machine? And oh yeah, then it's another $400 for an enclosure. And yeah, I mean, we will see. This machine is likely going to set the new size standard. Personally, I kind of like the 256 size standard.
It does encompass the majority of print size.
I like it specifically because I can fit 4 of them on a 6-foot wide shelf. And if you go much larger than that, you can't. So like the Centauri Carbon, I can fit 4 of them with 54 millimeters of clearance on a 6-foot shelf. Like the Qidi Q1 Pros, which is a smaller machine in every dimension, but it's a physically larger machine, can fit 3. And when I'm looking at taking up cubic space in my shop, have to look at what is the most efficient use of space, right? Now, maybe we go to +4s instead of Centauri Carbons. I don't know. Maybe you look at this new X2 Pro and say, oh, it might be worth the add-on. It might be worth the extra BS of, I have to keep it offline. I can never update it. Like, all of these different things. Maybe that's worth it. I don't know. We have to see what the future holds. But certainly, I think we're both interested in this machine. More so, I don't know if either of us are like, we're going to buy one. I think we're more interested to see how it affects the industry as a whole and specifically how it affects pricing of machines from other manufacturers.
Yeah.
See what the blowback is from all of this, right? That's where I think
It's going to be really interesting because it also shows
yes.
which companies are in the same mindset of they have to be worried about this. Like one of the things that it separates like us from others is our mindset as a company is we don't look at other companies.
Right.
We just price the machine at what we value them at for the level of quality of what you're willing to pay. We don't look at what Bamboo Lab are doing because it's almost like in a race when you're looking behind you, you slow down. You start making mistakes when you start doing that. And it's because we have unquestioning quality on our side that we don't have to worry about them. We
Mhm.
just set the price and that's it. You buy it because of the quality. You don't buy it because as a competitor. The companies that will change their price, however, they are fear. They have that fear inside them, so they change their price. They don't stand by the laurels of what they've built. They
Yep.
can't stand by the quality of their machine. Therefore, they're playing with price,
Yeah,
and
keep an
that
eye out.
is going to separate companies.
Definitely keep an eye out for those that as
Mm.
soon as Bamboo releases this new machine within a week or two, they lower their prices. They're doing it to try to gain market as quickly as they possibly can before
Yeah,
this machine gets delivered. Like,
yeah.
be mindful of it. Um, you
But
know,
I don't see Prusa lowering their prices because they know their quality is good. They know that they stand in a very good place and they won't lower it.
well,
But let's
Prusa,
say Creality, the K2, or the K2 Max, they'd probably lower that.
yeah,
They probably see this machine as not just direct competition, but eating them alive. And that's because they don't necessarily trust the quality of their own machine can stand on its own against Bamboo Lab.
yeah. It will
And
be curious to
yeah,
see how the K2 Plus is price adjusted uh, to be associated to the X2 Pro or whatever this machine is.
yeah.
See, this is the kind of stuff that excites me, but also like worries the hell out of me. But only time will tell. And the cool thing is, since now we're actually taking notes during the show, we can refer back to this later on and say, this is what we thought it was going to cost. This is what it actually costs. Here are our thoughts based on those two pricing. Um, yeah, we're excited. And is there any final thoughts you got, Jacob?
Other than I think that this is going to really shake up the industry, I think we've covered everything. Like my gut feel is we don't know.
Of course, we don't know.
Bamboo
This
Lab
is
have
speculation at
no,
best.
as in like Bamboo Lab have multiple times pulled the rug out from under us. Like our industry knowledge is what I like to think is the bedrock of our confidence. We know the industry so well, we can make these informed like decisions where like this machine will not sell well, this machine will. And multiple times Bamboo Lab have come out and just gone, nope, you're wrong.
Ha,
You're just
yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
Yep, we did it our way and it works. And we will keep doing that. And that is what I am aware of. It's like when I told somebody, hey, AI is not ready for a couple of years, and then a week later, GPT-3 came out. I have the same warning signs in my head where I have no idea how this machine is going to affect the industry, how it's going to affect competitors. Is it going to set a new standard of price that if you are not within like plus minus 300% of this price, then they're not going to consider you because they just go, well, that machine does it and it's this. Like, I don't know if it's going to latch on like that. And that is scary, but also so exciting because I love seeing the industry grow. The downside is I also see it growing away from builders. Like, we are going to see less new companies because the competition is now so much just sharper.
Yeah.
It's like we don't see new supermarkets showing up because the other ones have the market share. You cannot get market share if they have it all. Bamboo Lab are doing the same. Like that grassroots, you can build a company and grow it from there. I think it's ended now, especially with how competitive Bamboo Lab is, how the technology that is improving 3D printers has ended. And I will say that with confidence because open source drove the innovation in the industry and now open source is dead. If people say it's not, it is.
It
It's just
is.
dead, died slowly. It died with a whimper. It died quietly. And because open source is dead, the developments in the printing world have ceased. All of the new ones we're seeing from like Orca Slicer are patents. They're patents that people are going, screw, we're going to implement them anyway.
The
Not
bricklayers and stuff like
ground
that.
up
Yeah.
development. Like they're not developing anything new. They're just redesigning what already existed. And it's the same with machines.
But like,
I think the last two things I've seen in this industry that were actually novel was Index with the inductive hot end.
oh my God, so
Absolutely
much.
golden. Love it. And the Magneto X with the linear drives.
And that
Other than that, I
unfortunately
don't
kind of
really
fell on
see
its
any
face.
real thing. Yeah.
And I
But
have
I
one.
don't really see any other
Like,
developments.
I was part of the beta for it. I have one, and I mean it works. But it has never been reliable enough for me to say I will use it for business class environments. And its price point, its business class environment price point. I would say that the only hope that some of the small integrators have right now is Index to stay relevant, because they used to be able to compete on price, right? You could certainly say that, oh, we're more affordable than this, we're more affordable than that. Companies like BAMBU are carving their own path through the forest, right? They're deforesting in a straight line to the victory lane. You don't have to follow them, but you do have to do something different. Instead of following them directly through the forest, you could go down and find the river, go along the river and say, it is just around the river bend, and maybe, maybe you are Pocahontas, who knows? Is that from that? I don't know. I'm not the best at those things. I think it is too. But you could say, well, instead of doing it this way, we're going to do this instead, right? Look at the other innovations that are existing in the industry and say, how can I integrate this into my technology stack? Because I'm good. Do what you're good at. If you're good at building machines, build machines. If you're good at engineering hot ends, engineer hot ends. If you're good at building motion systems, build motion systems. Don't try to do everything, right? Because you're going to end up with a system that will run into problems, right? So, and I guess I'm kind of pointing fingers at both Luke's lab and Construct here. Like, what does Luke do? Luke's lab does bespoke 3D printers, but they are very much made to order. But they're getting into manufacturing of hot ends, right? So make no mistake, Luke is intending to make money manufacturing hot ends in the long term. You don't invest in the type of machinery that he did without a long-term investment strategy. Construct 3D very publicly is looking at implementing Index into their strategy. So they recognize that it is easier to say, we trust this company because we've seen the technology up close and personal. We've talked to the people, we've shaken hands, we've done everything that we need to do to feel confident from a business perspective. It is easier for us to go down this route than it is for us to try to manufacture something or make off-the-shelf components manufacturable in a way that makes sense from a business perspective that can then also stand out in the industry.
Yep.
Luke said, wait, I'm supposed to have a strategy. I feel that.
Don't tell Grant, but no.
Look,
just vibe.
That's how this channel started. That's how it's still going. It does need some more strategy in it, to be clear. But I believe this is evidence, if anything, for any small business that is still paying attention. If you are not able to remain fluid, go with the flow, know how to take a punch, but more specifically, learn how to fill and fit into the gaps that exist, you don't have a chance of succeeding. You have to solve problems. Don't provide solutions to problems that don't exist. You need to solve problems. So certainly Big Tree Tech is sitting there salivating, trying to get all the info they can so they can start manufacturing accessories for this machine. Because Big Tree Tech realizes they could manufacture accessories for the Cheetah Plus 4, but they'll make way more money doing it for the BAMBU. Luke knows that he can make way more money manufacturing the Pika for BAMBU than he can on the Plus 4, but I will still continue to bother him about it. When Luke brought machines to the show, his BAMBU was on display showing the Pika, right? Because he knows that often that is where people need it. Will Luke's lab work on a Pika for the H2? X2 Pro in the future of Bamboo? Only time will tell. I'm just making it so much worse by giving him more ideas. Luke, it might not be the best idea for you to watch the show all the way to completion every single time. I don't know. But I
Oh,
think that covers it. I really do.
I think that does. It'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. It really would.
It is. And this
Yeah.
will kind of stand as our initial thoughts on it, and we'll be able to look back at it later and see how stupid
I can't
we were.
wait for 2 weeks' time. We are so
It's
wrong.
$300. No, I assume we got a month left before Bamboo makes an official statement or an official announcement. We'll probably see 2 or 3 more leaks of this that show more information before Bamboo makes an official announcement.
Yeah. We'll
That's my
probably
thought.
see some form of leak from a shipping company that is like, oh, look at this box that has just shown up
Yeah.
and they're shipping.
Leak. But
Leak.
putting big air quotes around leak. But Jacob, why don't you take these individuals out of here? Don't forget the CTAs, and then we'll stop the recording. We'll give away some filament, then we'll send them over to Steve Builds.
Yeah. So make sure you don't leave for after this. Unfortunately, this is for only the people watching live. So if you are audio only, you don't get this. But if you stay till afterwards, you have a chance of winning some filament. So that is really good. We'll do that after this. But thank you for everyone for staying with us on this lovely little rant session about how we know absolutely nothing about the industry anymore, thanks to bambulab ruining our entire industry knowledge. But for everyone out there, stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Seriously, do that. Like a nice little spike at the end. It's great for the metrics.
It is great for the metrics. Yeah.
Great for the metrics.
I guess probably
I guess that's it. Now we can give people some filament. Let's go.
I'm just debating if I should stop my personal recording. I guess we probably should. The face cam recording. This is always like, somewhat after show, but not the official after show. All right,
You have an after dark? Well, this is the dusk at the moment.
This is
the sun is setting. It's not after dark yet.
Yeah, I can dig it. All right, no longer accepting responses. Hello? There we go. Jeez. It's very funny to see what numbers people choose for their, so like there's a verification number that people have to give. I never actually check it, but it's just like to kind of verify that they're not like, crazy people. Here's some fun responses. 82.5% are from the US. Canada is one person, 1.6%, and the EU is 10 people at 15.9%. So there you go for the statistics of that entry. So
Wait,
cool.
Lewis wants to win my shirt. Are you talking about the white one? This is Primark. This is like dirt cheap. This doesn't even have the logo on it. This is just a Primark white. And the purple, Matalan.
Let's see.
Oh, my computer is just like hard frozen. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. Let me see if I can still see you.
Can you still see me?
Oh, no, oh, no, wait, there you go. You're back.
Oh, it's okay. All my monitors have gone black.
I'm told to clip it. I'm clipping it.
I have 1 frame per second.
Oh, yeah, look at that. I can see that. Yeah, I can see it in the background.
There we go. It's back.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my virtual camera is just showing white. I hope you can still see me.
Yeah, we can still see you on the stream.
Is the stream able to see me?
Yep, stream can still see you.
Oh, my God. Wow, what timing for my computer just to shit the bed.
Yeah, that's life. So let me see. Let me make sure this person didn't win already. And,
remember, kids, don't have an 8-year-old Windows 7 license, which you then grandfather to Windows 10 and then grandfather to Windows 11, and have never done a clean install since then.
That's literally what I do.
Yeah, my computer is on its last leg. I say that my computer's been on its last legs for the last 10 years.
Okay, and what are the specs of your computer if you're gonna bitch and moan about it being on its last legs? Because I know that it has a 3090 in it, or a 4090.
It's got No, it's a 3090. It's a
Yeah.
3090 I got from a scalper at below MSRP because I lied to them through my teeth about the price of what the 4090 is going to be. And I made them feel like they're going to be able to sell so many 4090s, knowing the 4090 was nothing. There was nothing there for them. But no, so I've got a, I can't believe I'm saying this. I've got a Ryzen 9 7950X which I've overclocked to 5.2 gigahertz, 64 gigs of 6,000 mega transfer DDR6, DDR5, I don't remember.
5.
Uh, DDR5,
I'm
and
on
then
DDR4 still, so.
I have 40 terabytes of in-computer storage across multiple Gen 4 and Gen 5 SSDs.
Yeah, you have a much nicer computer than I do. I'm on a 10700K, 64 gigs of RAM, finally made that upgrade, and a 1080 Ti.
But on the plus side, I have a 1080 in here as well.
Yeah, but it's on a shelf.
Yeah, but I've got a 1080 in the machine as a backup GPU just in
right.
case.
Right, yes.
It's a dedicated physics GPU for whenever I want to do like tensor rendering.
Philip Hoyt. Philip Hoyt. Let me see if you're in the chat. Let's see if we can tag you. Well,
Nadir
I can tag you.
The Primark Mafia attacked. Hell yeah, Primark is actually surprisingly good as long as you understand its crap.
I can tag you, so we'll see if you're still here. What did you say? 12700K. Last rock solid CPU from Intel until they totally borked things. I'm on a 10700K. Still 8 core, 16 threads, but yeah.
Once you go Ryzen, you kind of never go back.
Yeah.
Though I will say the startup times on Ryzen are trash. Like,
okay.
You liked turning your machine on in like 4 seconds with a Gen 5 SSD? No, 2 minutes. Take it or leave it.
Okay, Kenneth Davis did find the email, thank God. All right, so Ken, get into the Discord, and then we'll figure out how to get you the refund, since I guess you joined twice. We don't want that, unless you want to give us 20. I don't care. But yeah, they're taggable, so theoretically they won. I don't know. I don't know what the rules should be. Like, I feel like you have to be there to accept it. So let's just, because I can, let's just give away another one. And then this one will be the person has to be there to accept it. And I think from now on, you really do have to respond to me. Let me make sure this person did the math
Shergal
right.
saying, Shergal. The memory training time takes forever. You're damn right. It scared me so much the first time. So I stupidly didn't realize Ryzen hates 4 sticks of RAM. So I've got 4 sticks of 16 gig in here. Yeah, 4 sticks of 16 gig. I already had to turn down the speed because the memory controller apparently doesn't do higher than 6,000 mega transfers, and I bought 6,400, which is good one, Jacob. And then the first time I turned it on and I trained, it took 45 minutes, and I thought I bricked the PC.
Yeah, Winslow Joy said put that in the form. It is in the form. So, I do have it in the form. So we're gonna go by those rules. So, the next winner was Lewis Morrison. Privet the Third, or LMP3. They won. So DM me on Discord or Twitter, or send us an email, and we'll get all that taken care of. But yeah, guys, that's it. We're gonna go send you over to hang out with the steviest of Stevie builds, and I think he's doing, that's not the right one. He is doing a Core 1 conversion. I got to get the actual link because it wants to send me to the second one, but I think today's his 3rd time doing it. So let's do that.
And yeah, the purple
Paste.
shirt's good. Purple
yeah, it
and
is.
white
It
are
is
like
the
my
3rd.
personal colors.
It is the 3rd. You're in a purple? Did I not realize you're in a purple shirt? Oh, it's an outer shirt.
Yeah, purple.
I like purple. Purple's good. Purple's a good color.
Honestly, purple and white are my personal colors. I have a definitely not Twitch streamer getup that my friends like to say, which is like a white tracksuit and white trousers with like just random purple stripes on it. It looks like I'm Twitch affiliated. It's awful. It's kind of in this weird tech wear space, but not cool enough to be actual tech wear, so you just look like a chav. And it is hilarious. But it's now such a like noticeable color scheme for me. I am half tempted to make my entire wardrobe white and purple. Even like my sword fighting like Gambeson, my protective clothing. My friend Rose has found me a maker who makes a really nice diamond checker Gambeson where they can put the right arm as purple. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can get purple and white. And now I'm half tempted to get like a Gloop
I was
sponsorship
gonna
if
say
I can
now we
like
just we
poke them.
we need a Gloop sponsorship now. So
Yeah, just get
um,
like Gloop with the Gloop words down and like, oh, it'll be brilliant.
I saw you DM'd me about VAT Engineering saying that we should multi-stream. That is technically
Yeah,
against pretty much everybody's TOS. So
I know,
uh,
but I could do it because I'm not on your stream. I'm not the person. I'm a different person.
we will discuss this. We will
That
discuss
that is
this.
something to discuss.
Yeah, because Twitch is better for live streams, but when we've tried streaming to Twitch, we get like 7 people, and it's like,
Ah,
I'd rather have even after the show, we're at 134. I'd rather have that. So,
ah,
and yes, we have a multi-streamer. We can stream to any RTMP destination and as many as I want. And it only takes one stream from me. It then pushes the stream out. It is against the TOS. It does not mean that people don't do it, but it is against the TOS. And so, yeah, I try not to poke the bear if I can avoid it. The bear that specifically, kind of doesn't really, but it tries to pay for itself. So, all right, let's go send these people over to Steve Builds. We'll be in the Discord at the $10 tier and higher for the after show for a little bit. We'll see you guys later. Take care.
stay safe.